It is 6:02. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Titans took the practice field yesterday as they begin to prepare for Sunday's tilt against the San Francisco 49ers. Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons, Tony Pollard, Chigo Okonkwo all had a rest day. C.J. Ravenel missed practice with a toe injury. James Williams missed with an illness. Jalen Armour-Davis and Lloyd Cushenberry both were limited in practice yesterday. In NFL news, good news for the Buccaneers as wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan both were activated off of injured reserve, and they will both play tonight as they host the Falcons for Thursday Night Football. Kickoff at 7:15 on Prime Video. In college football, the Tennessee Vols have their new defensive coordinator and Jim Knowles, who was at Ohio State from 2022 to 2024, which included a national championship run last season. He also was at Penn State this past season with James Franklin, coaching the defense for the Nittany Lions. Also in college football coaching carousel, it took a surprising turn yesterday as Michigan fired their head coach, Sharon Moore, with cause after an investigation revealed that he was having an inappropriate relationship with a Michigan staffer. Moore was also detained by the police last night as they investigate potential charges. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5. The Zone.
Away we go into your Thursday morning on Ramon and Will. Welcome in. Another freezing morning in Music City, USA, 615-737-1045. Lots to get to this morning. Over the next 4 hours, Tennessee is hiring a national championship winning defensive coordinator. What are the pros? What are the cons? We'll talk about that this morning in hour one. Michigan fires Sharon Moore, a crazy story that could have ripple effects in the coaching carousel again in college football. Coach Mack stops by at 7:20. Taylor Zarzer going to be in studio today. In hour four, the Thursday 3 moves to 8:20. And as always, the show is streamed for you on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. The F&M Bank chat open with Ramon Foster, Justin Hawkins. I'm Will Bowling on Thursday, December the 11th. Good morning.
Hey, what up, Will? Good morning, man. It is getting cold and going to get colder. Did you this weekend, it is supposed to get like into the teens, man. It's going to be frigid. Yeah, I saw 19 in Hendersonville.
No, that's not good.
It's a weekend.
I'm like that.
I'm actually sending my wife on a, not sending her anywhere, it's a birthday gift. She's going on a trip for a birthday or whatever.
Be gone.
Yeah. Get out of here and see you.
That's awesome.
What's that?
I said that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. But she's going to a warm weather place, and she's like, I don't have to pack too light. I was like, well, Sunday, you better pack something warm coming back from the place you're coming from. So that's going to be a shocker to her, and I'm going to laugh. Yeah. This Sunday, 27 is the high, low of 14.
Do y'all get really hot or cold traveling?
What you mean?
Like, I will get very, very hot.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Traveling. And so I will, even when it's like 15, I'll show up in short sleeves.
On the plane, I get cold. I'm a hoodie on the plane type of guy, and I got to have it. That little nozzle of air that shoots down on you, man, it wrecks me, man. Not that it wrecks me. It's just like it's super direct in where you're trying to put it. And then I'll get hot when I move it. Then I'll get hot when I move it. So, yeah, I'm in between. Like, I try to have, like, at least a light hoodie on. I think I've traveled with a jacket, overcoat, maybe once before.
I travel the way it is outside. So if it's cold outside, I travel cold. If it's hot outside, I will travel hot.
So if you're going to Hawaii, you don't leave Nashville with like a hoodie set on?
Well, so like if Nashville is cold, then I will leave Nashville like it's cold outside.
Oh, okay.
If I'm leaving Hawaii, I will dress like it was hot outside, and then I will just put it all back on.
Okay, I thought you were leaving Nashville with shorts on.
No.
Okay, all right. I was about to say, Jay.
Not unless it's in the summer.
Not unless it's in the summer. Yeah, that's me, man.
Like, if it's like 15 degrees outside, I will still have a big coat on.
You still have a big coat on? I got so many big coats at the house. I wore a vest this morning. I should have actually just put a bigger vest on And I didn't. I'm weird about that type of stuff, man. But here we are. It's Friday Junior. Let's get to it.
Titans traveling to San Francisco. A practice yesterday, an injury report yesterday ahead of the 49ers matchup. And nothing major. Rest days for Chickakankwo, for Tony Pollard, for Jeffrey Simmons, as is per usual. Shai Tuttle coming back from a concussion, full participant. James Williams, non-participant with an illness. Kevin Zeitler did not practice. That's, again, rest. Good news on Dan Moore, was a full participant after a neck injury that he suffered in Cleveland. Quarterback Jalen Armour-Davis working his way back from an Achilles. Did not play over the weekend. Of course, he was limited. And C.J. Ravenel, defensive end with a toe, did not practice.
Two things. One, I'm glad Dan came back in that game. I thought that was huge for him to show a little toughness. I didn't know what it was. It was a neck, probably a stinger type situation, I'm guessing. Those, by the way, I hate them. I used to get them one year in particular. I was getting them in college often. If you look, there's an old photo of me with a straight board neck collar on, Will, and my neck would not move back because I was getting them so often. But that nerve can be inflamed and it happens quicker. So I was glad Dan finished it. Secondly,
is that one of the things real quick that affects your feeling, like in your hands or wrists, like a funny bone kind of situation is higher on your neck?
Absolutely. I think if I was guessing, that's what David Sanders Jr. was dealing with.
Okay.
I've dealt with something similar. It's just, I would be in practice, and we keep our head out of football plays, but it would hit somebody and turn, lightly to the side. I just did a little quick jerk move to the right. It would turn like that, and I catch a sting, and then that feeling goes all the way down my shoulder, my arms, and it feel that tingling in my hand. So what they've learned nowadays is they try to be very cautious with that because those nerves are connected to the brain. So they got to treat it almost as if it was a concussion type of situation. But also, if you continually hit it and those nerves are inflamed, it's easier to injure. So David Sanders, I know a lot of people are upset about him being out earlier this year, but that has to regenerate all the way down and strengthen back up. So that was one thing I want to bring up. Secondly was, by force or by choice, he had to go through Myles Garrett. This is the version of that you got from Dan often when he went up against Myles Garrett. He was fine. Didn't really give up a whole lot. Dan locked him up. Now, I know it's team protection against Myles Garrett.
Sure.
But the conversation that was one of the biggest selling points was Myles Garrett didn't really eat off of Dan Moore. And Dan Moore, I felt like, did very fine this week. But, of course, his one sack that he got was a twist game up the middle. I think that was desperate. That was a Myles Garrett go-get-him sack call right there.
Yeah, I still think, as we said yesterday, the two tackles developing and getting better over these last 4 games is critical. You're going up against a Niners defense this weekend that hasn't been super productive in terms of sacks, but still does everything else really well and has a good enough secondary to even if you do get the ball out of your hands, force mistakes. So a different kind of challenge this weekend, but still certainly a challenge nonetheless in San Francisco. This was Cam Ward yesterday talking about some of his comments after the game, some of the conversation around him not being happy enough with a win. This was Cam speaking after practice.
Just continuing to emphasize the basics on everybody's behalf. Limiting everyone's mistakes, my mistakes, getting the ball out on time when I need to. Then also give my receivers a chance to make plays.
I don't think there's been a week where you haven't said winning is the only thing you care about when we've asked you about progress and all of that. And then after you won on Sunday, you said, well, winning and losing kind of the same. It doesn't really matter to me. A lot of us are having trouble kind of balancing that out. Can you kind of expand on what you meant?
Winning and losing, they both got a price. They both got a price to pay. It just depends on which one you want to be a part of.
But you've talked consistently about how much winning means to you. Why Sunday did you seem not to feel differently than you felt after all the failed games?
Because there's a way to win games. There's a way to finish out games. There's a standard that you got to play with every game to give yourself the best, situation to win. But the biggest thing, you got to expect to win every time you step on the field.
Do you feel like the team didn't play that standard, or you didn't play that standard in winning?
We played to a standard good enough to win. We didn't play to our best standard. At times of the game, we were sloppy. Offensively, I was sloppy myself. And then defensively, we were. So we just got to continue to emphasize the good, and we got to be real critical on the bad.
It's Cam Ward speaking yesterday post-practice. Wanted to address something this morning and wanted to say a few words for a moment. On Monday, I told a story about a comment I heard on the Titans team charter, and I want to apologize for sharing something that should have remained private and totally off the record. I totally understand the team plane and bus are sacred places for players, for coaches, for members of the organization. I take full accountability. I broke their trust with that team by sharing details that were not mine to share. Moving forward, I will work to regain that trust. I sincerely apologize. More Ramon and Will coming up as Hour 1 continues after this.
Genesis Diamonds really shines this time of the year. The cases are jam-packed with all the best gifts, highest quality at the guaranteed best value prices. They got engagement rings, diamond bracelets, eternity bands, earrings, pendants, color stone jewelry, Rolex watches, and listen, this December at Genesis, you can get the holiday jewelry she wants with zero down and no interest for 5 years. So you can go big without going broke. Pick any item, spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest. That $6,000 ring is just $100 a month. You can do the math. Everything's affordable. Genesis non-commissioned experts are ready to help you find the headliner gift from a few $100s to a few $100,000. Elegant pendants, dazzling eternity bands, stylish wedding bands, and an incredible selection of diamond classic jewelry with zero down, zero interest financing for a whole 5 years. And yes, hundreds of pristine pre-owned Rolex watches are available, all the most popular models. And if you love a deal, here's something all new for 2025. The Genesis Diamonds Half Price Holiday Vault. It's a select group of showcases featuring expertly curated Christmas gifts that Genesis is offering at half price. 50% savings, the biggest discount ever. You need to check this out. Genesis Diamonds is a place for that spectacular holiday gift. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs, but see store for details.
Monday morning on Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling. Tennessee is bringing in a big name at defensive coordinator, expected to hire former Penn State and national championship winning DC Jim Knowles at Ohio State. Ramon, he led the nation's top defense in 2024, with last season being a little bit more of a blip on the radar. And obviously nothing working at Penn State last season under James Franklin and his last year at Penn State. What was your initial reaction seeing that news come down yesterday?
Couldn't believe it. Shocked. Like, I knew you needed somebody that was going to be impactful. You had to match what the SEC was. I had this conversation yesterday with a group of friends of mine. Like, had to match what the SEC is turning into, that 9-game stretch next year. And guess this defense might not be ready for that 9-game SEC stretch next year. But everybody across the nation that is taking football serious is getting former head coaches or big dogs when it comes to the people who are coaching their positions or their coordinators too. And I think Heupel took the first step into saying, no, I'm here to make sure Tennessee maintains what we've built and also build on top of it. I like what I think this hire can turn into. I told the conversation I was having, I was just like, with this hire, respectfully, like, this could turn into a Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin style of hire, in my personal opinion.
Where you've got you've got fire and ice.
You got fire
between
and
head
ice.
coach
Yes.
and one of your coordinators.
Now, somebody
two very different backgrounds.
Somebody here doesn't say, hey, no, this is like, that ain't Lane. He's not Lane Kiffin. No, but the way he prepares his defense and bring them from
different.
Bad to good to better to great if you want to, because that Ohio State defense in that 2023 championship race was elite. That was one of the best things I feel like you've seen in a very long time. Is it without flaw? No, absolutely not. But it's a step in the right direction, in my personal opinion, and saying that you didn't just swing low and get one of your friends or somebody that you were familiar with. It's way more outside of the box than I thought this hire would have been.
Me too. And I think, it tells you two things. First of all, Josh Heupel went and got someone that he has had trouble going up against. That's the first thing we talked about when the Tim Banks news came down, and we spoke about this on Tuesday. Who has given you fits as an offensive coach?
Oh.
Go get that guy. Well, there is no fit that was given to Josh Heupel in Tennessee, more so than what Ohio State gave them in the playoff in a dominant performance. They held Tennessee to 256 yards of offense and 104 yards passing. What do you remember about that Ohio State playoff game, Ramon, that Jim Knowles and the Ohio State defense did well to take away a playoff offense for Tennessee that, let's face it, wasn't close to what it was this year, but was still functional enough to allow their defense to have success and keep them in games and win some big games in 2024?
They looked like they were prepared. I'm eager to talk about this one because going to that Ohio State game in Columbus, man, was just like, what? You can't do anything. They took away what Tennessee did. They took away the underneath, the quick passes. Their players felt like they had seen enough tape and knew the tendencies of what the Tennessee offense asked of it, and they killed it. They took away the deep passes. They kept their guys' feet in the ground, eyes up the field to where nothing got behind them. And, of course, the rush always plays a part in it, and Ohio State was able to get after them. The biggest takeaway I had was they looked more professional and prepared with anything that the Vols could have done that day was taken away. Underneath was good. To me, I felt like they had the Tennessee game plan almost. You couldn't get outside the pocket. They weren't going to allow you to. If you wanted to go deep, you better be good because their guys were step for step in their zone coverages that they had. I felt like they confused Nico more times than not. Anytime he tried to get out of the pocket, they were ready for that too. That to me is, I think, I want to see be the biggest contribution is the mobile quarterbacks that you're going to see know when to go, know when to shut them down. And I felt like they did that time and time again. And they did it well. They did it real good.
60-year-old Jim Knowles started his coaching career at Cornell, his alma mater, in 1988. Been around for a little bit. After a stop at Western Michigan, he joined David Cutcliffe's staff at Ole Miss in 2003 as linebackers coach. I know there are a lot of people, yourself included, who
probably got recruited
hold a David Cutcliffe stamp of approval in high regard. He certainly would have that. Head coach at Cornell from 2004 to 2009. In 2010, he rejoined Cutcliffe at Duke. He stayed there until 2017. really at Oklahoma State is where I feel like a lot of people started to have him on their radar. In an era where still the Big 12 was known for games scored in the 50s and sometimes 60s, he made Oklahoma State good on defense. So in 4 seasons, Oklahoma State went from 112th nationally to 88th to 44th to 4th in 2021. Number 4 defense of the country. Then he joins Ohio State under Ryan Day. In 2025, things were not as good this past season for Jim Knowles at Penn State. But even still, it was, Ramon, more of an offensive issue at Penn State this year than it was a defensive issue.
Quarterback didn't live up to it a good bit.
151 rushing yards per game allowed was not good. They were 34th in total defense, and Penn State gave up 21 points per game. I'm interested in the fit with Josh Heupel. I think the thing that I like the most, Ramon, is that he has been successful in 2 very different conferences and 2 very different styles of offenses that you've got to go up against. In the Big Ten, where you have more pro-style offenses than any Power 4 conference, or certainly Power 2 conference, more so than the SEC, playing against the likes of Michigan. I know that's probably the sore subject because he lost some games to Michigan, but playing against offenses like Michigan, like Iowa, like Minnesota, like Illinois, there are a lot more pro-style offenses that you've got to see. On the flip side, of the Big 12, he will have seen the RPO offense. He will have seen Art Briles systems. He will have gone up against Art Briles system at Baylor, literally, and the kind of the foundation of it. So we also saw against Tennessee, very much not a pro-style offense, but able to take away what Tennessee did in the playoff game in 2024 and in December of 2024. So I think for that reason, you get excited about this because it's someone who has had success against all different types of offenses. And 2 is not just tied to having really good football players, because there are a lot of coordinators that could be good coordinators at Ohio State, because Ohio State has a lot of resources to recruit really good football players. That doesn't concern me because he has been really successful at multiple places that don't have Ohio State level resources.
No doubt. And the other part, too, is it seems to me Jim Knowles he has no aspirations to be a head coach, too. So if it goes right, you have a guy that may want to settle in until the next biggest check come to him. But it's attractive to me. Just, again, reiterating all the things you said, too, about this offense and how it faced it in the championship game, well, in that playoff game against Ohio State, it confused the heck out of, I felt like, Heupel, the players on the field. It created, in my personal opinion, third downs that were impossible to get, the discipline that you had from the players. Now, here's the other part of it, though, too, the demand, in my personal opinion, for guys to grow up, know their responsibilities week in and week out, to study. I know a lot of people have, been on that train of Heupel and discipline, and Heupel and his staff, and the defense holding this holding up his end of the bargain. I feel like when you have a guy on that side of the ball, that's probably going to demand that, because if you don't buy into, Will, to your point, all the things that he's good at, you're not going to play. I don't know if you put yourself in a position where you have a guy that's just going rogue in the secondary, or defensive lineman going outside of his gaps, because that to me prepares you, I think, for the next level, which is ultimately the goal should be still of college players getting to the NFL. But it really gives you the buy-in, and just, I said it yesterday, it shouldn't just be Kirby that has a monstrous defense in the SEC when you have these types of athletes that play in it, right? And I feel like if given the opportunity and guys buy into it, which they won't have a choice at this point, then you should see that step be taken.
Yeah, I think certainly he's a different kind of personality that this staff needed. So Austin Price wrote about this at VolQuest yesterday, and he talked with 4 former Jim Knowles players who went on the record with him at VolQuest.com. You can go read that story there from Austin about what it's like playing for new Tennessee defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. And Knoxville native Devin Harper, who played at Oklahoma State, I thought had a really good quote, Ramon, about the on and off field. Said, out of him, you are going to get a blitzing defense that is going to run zero, run man, come after you. And with him, you are going to get a lot of discipline, because that's what he's big on. Very big on your role, doing your job, and putting pressure on quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks who can't deal with pressure. That's what he does. And you can expect a variety of blitzes from him, obviously, and going after the quarterback is his objective at the end of the day. That's what he's good at. He's like a little mastermind, literally. It's really crazy. He's like a mastermind. So he goes on to say, and this to me may be the more important part, Ramon. He's old school, but he's new school. So former Oklahoma State player and Knoxville native Devin Harper to Austin Price of AllQuest. He's modern, if that makes sense. That's why he was such a big difference at Oklahoma State. People love playing for Jim Knowles. That's kind of how it was. Like, our defense was playing for Jim Knowles and each other, and he was old school in a way like he's going to bleep you.
MF you.
Yeah, I didn't know if I could say that.
Yeah.
So, okay. He's going to that. He's going to tell you when you're wrong, but he's also going to love you when you're right. He is going to get on you, and that is what I like about him. Some people nowadays don't like that, but me personally and the people at Oklahoma State, we liked that. He just holds you accountable, and that is all you can ask for out of a coach, because you are both playing for the future. We are playing for the NFL, and he is coaching for his job. That is Devin Harper, former Oklahoma State player, talking about now soon-to-be Tennessee defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. I think Josh Heupel needs that.
Yeah.
I think Josh Heupel is a player's coach. I think Josh Heupel needs an authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
To be quite honest, I think he needs one on offense too. But I'm glad there is one on defense. I don't know if Tim Banks was ever that. And defensive coordinators are wired a little bit differently than most offensive coaches.
Yeah, they are.
And so Tim Banks, again, I'm not a practice. I'm not. I think, though, from what you are hearing about Jim Knowles and from what we do know about Tim Banks, I think you're going to see that disciplinarian focus turned up a little bit from Tennessee's new defensive coordinator from the previous one. Is that fair?
That's very fair. I think the challenge being incorporated in it, too. Personally, well, I ain't going to say personally, I guess on the surface of it, though, too, is the challenge for Heupel in the offense. This is a guy that can directly make you better day in and day out, especially when it's O versus D and it's off script. I don't feel like at any point Heupel should be threatened by it. If he's right-minded, and we knew there was a step that he needed to take, like everything that we've asked of Heupel, I kind of feel like he hears it, or the people around him force him into it to where these changes have been made. He comes into the SEC, okay, you got to get the Tennessee fans off your back. He did. He won. He made the offense fun. You knew that was going to be something he brought. That was the first thing you told me, Ramon, we're going to score a whole lot of points. And we did. The questions of recruiting. He goes and does that. Can he adjust to the portal and, make swift moves with Nico and, dismissing Boo Carter in the middle of the year? He's checked every box that you've asked of him. So I don't think ego's an issue for Heupel. He's a former player. Like, that's the one thing I'll give him into the mindset of guys like him. So him personally being okay and on board, and I think it was Austin that put it out there too. This was one of his first picks. Like, he wasn't running away from this and just to go hire a friend. So I think with the way I viewed that offense, and I kind of want to go there first because the thing that I recognize and thinking about this hire is the big wins that the Vols have come on the back of the offense, right? The Alabama game, you dueled there.
Yeah.
The first time around.
With the exception of 24 Alabama and Oklahoma.
That's the exception.
I think those two games were both defensive.
But the biggest of the biggest games to actually get the monkey off your back came with dueling Bryce Young.
Yeah, 52-49 in 2022 is the signature moment of Josh Heupel at Tennessee.
And then, of course, you get Florida. That was a duel, and Anthony Richardson, I thought, had the best game of his college career, probably in his football career, period. When Hendon Hooker and him went back, that was offensive, right? You go to Georgia last year. What were the Vols up, 21-17 at the time? Had Georgia on the ropes. All I know is we were up double digits. We were up double digits.
Right.
But the defense couldn't hold it. Offense couldn't adjust also. But you had moments in which a really good defense would get you out of those games. And for Josh Heupel to go get a guy like him to say, I need some help, I need some support, I think it's smart. I think a lot more credit should be given to Josh Heupel in this moment. But again, it is Jim Knowles is in a new spot as soon as the contract is done. Mm-hmm. Getting him the players, getting him the support, and making sure that it's a self-check, self-scout type of thing. Because that's one thing I heard is there wasn't a whole lot of self-scouting on the defensive side of it. Like, I know too much. Throwing stuff at the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like
what was the identity of the Tennessee defense this past year? They didn't have one.
Not that you can just say it was your calling card. And I saw it in games personally, like calling the games with Mike Keefe. I saw those things. I was like, what is this? You know, in the Oklahoma game, they throw a defense. Why? What is this? There's no real answer. Like, I get Taylor Green at Arkansas, the quarterback, is a really good quarterback. But, like, he shouldn't be allowed to do this often. You know?
The scrambling quarterbacks, the third and longs that were consistently converted against Georgia, a fourth and long that would have allowed Tennessee to beat Georgia for the first time since I was in school. And against Diego Pavia, the inability to run fit and set an edge. Their also inability, Ramon, to stop passes over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
At this point, goes back to the Jeremy Pruitt days when Henry To'oTo'o couldn't cover a slant.
Yeah.
It feels like Tennessee has not had the ability to cover over the middle of the field in a while. They were better at that in 2024. They're better at everything, of course, in 2024. It's one of the best defenses in the country. But when you don't have a lot of future pros on the defense, how do you adjust to a rebuilding year? Josh Heupel did on offense. Mm-hmm. Tim Banks did not on defense. Cody Nagel at CBS Sports, I thought, had an interesting take on this, and he wrote about this yesterday, saying, one of the more revealing parts of Knowles' career arc is how flexible he has been when circumstances demand it. Across multiple stops, his defenses have reflected not just his own schematic preferences, but the realities of the roster in front of him. That flexibility, though, has limits. Jim Knowles left Ohio State after a national championship season, in part because expanded oversight from Ryan Day narrowed his ability to independently shape the defense. Tennessee could be, again, this is Cody Nagel of CBS Sports, Tennessee could be betting that giving Knowles space and players suited to his toolbox will unlock the creativity and week-to-week adaptability that have defined his best work. We'll see. We'll see what that means. I do think that the challenge for Jim Knowles is how complex is your scheme right away? How much time do you have to teach a more complicated way of playing defense in a short amount of time? Yeah. Is there a learning curve? Is there a period where Tennessee is going to have some busts and going to have some issues with the intricacies of a Jim Knowles defense versus a Tim Banks defense as they learn new calls, new ways of operating?
Yeah. It's going to be, seeing that quote right there was fascinating. But here's the thing. He's a coach that doesn't want to be a head coach.
No, definitely not. Definitely.
But he does want to be able to reign on his side of the ball the way he wants to.
Right.
Now, this back and forth on how quick the offense can work and does Heupel slow down? Because, hey, as the big chief, as Heupel is the head coach, like, you do have to appease somewhat to the other side of the ball and to special teams, too. So if Coach Knowles suggests, hey, Coach, I need you to slow it down, at least give me 2 series to where you're just methodically working down the field, maybe it forces Heupel to adding more legs to that offense itself, too. You know what I'm saying? As far as, and I felt like this year he did. He slowed down the pace, I felt like, this year. Sure. He most definitely did it, I felt like, with Nico last year, or 2 years, last year. So I like the challenge that this presents as a team.
It's going to be interesting to see what the corresponding adjustment is from Heupel.
If it goes the way the reputations say they are, I compare it again to Nick Saban bringing in Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
it wasn't supposed to work.
It's admitting that you are willing to make a major change at coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of head coaches don't do. Mike Bobo is still the offensive coordinator at Georgia. Now, obviously, they've had a lot of success, and they are kind of still running the pre-Kiffin Alabama system at Georgia. Yeah. And they're having a lot of success doing it, so you can't totally knock it. But at the same time, it gives me hope for the future of Tennessee football that Josh Heupel is open to major change. And hiring Jim Knowles is a major change.
I looked up just real quick, too, just a breakdown of what it is. Pressure based on confusion, safety-centric.
Which means you got to go get some safeties in the transfer portal.
Complicated for linebackers, which most teams have the linebacker be the big dog. They worked on a 4-2-5, man, and it's strong versus the run, and they thrive which against long third down and distances, which is what it exposed Tennessee.
It would be great if you could convince Arion Carter to come back to be Jim Knowles' first inside linebacker and first signal caller. One of the biggest priorities for me of the offseason. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm curious how much this hire may impact that decision. I have no knowledge of if that's the case or not, but I am intrigued to see if maybe Jim Knowles is an influence on Arion Carter coming back. I hope it is.
I do too.
There is an opening at Michigan. Crazy story around Sharon Moore that we'll address next. Wrapping up Hour 1 this morning on Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone and Zone TV. So Michigan has an opening as the coaching carousel is going to start turning again, Ramon Foster. Sherrone Moore is in custody, or was in custody, in the Washtenaw County Jail in Michigan on Wednesday night as a suspect in an alleged assault, just hours after he was fired as Michigan's football coach for having what the school said was an, quote, inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Was initially detained by police in, I believe it's Saline, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's how you say it?
Saline.
On Wednesday, turned over to authorities in Pittsfield Township, quote, for investigation into potential charges. So Pittsfield police released a statement Wednesday night saying they responded at 4:10 p.m. to the 3000 block of Ann Arbor Saline Road for the purposes of investigating an alleged assault. A suspect in this case was taken into custody. This incident does not appear to be random in nature, and there appears to be no ongoing threat to the community. Was lodged at the Washtenaw County Jail pending review of charges by the county prosecutor, the statement said. At this time, the investigation is ongoing, given the nature of the allegations, the need to maintain the integrity of the investigation, and its current status at this time. They cannot release additional details. Pittsfield police did not name the suspect in their statement, and Michigan fired Sherrone Moore with cause following an investigation into his conduct with a staff member. 2 seasons as Michigan's coach for Sherrone Moore. The 39-year-old served as the team's offensive coordinator. All this from Pete Thamel and Dan Wetzel at ESPN.com. Off-field, obviously, a very unfortunate and sad situation with Sherrone Moore. On the field, in a football sense, Ramon, I think there are major ripple effects here, and I'm really curious how much interest there will be in this job among coaches who maybe even already gotten an extension this cycle.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to go get it. And they also Michigan just hired a new special teams coordinator. Like, I don't know if this was on Michigan's radar to actually pull the trigger on this one. Although on social media, there were, numerous websites and people who would do reporting that put this out in October. Like, there was a November article and discussion about Sherrone Moore is probably going to be out because clauses in his contract, and everybody laughed at these folks. What's interesting, it was business as normal for him, though. New special teams coordinator, brought in a recruiting class still, and then poof, this hit. I don't know who actually broke it. The rumor, allegedly, let me clear myself of all charges on this one. But there was a Michigan writer that put out the flag went up on Sherrone Moore whenever DoorDash delivery person brought to his residence, wherever he was, a Plan B product. And that's what gave the red flag to it from that account, allegedly. So I don't know how much digging they had to do. They showed the clauses in his contract that discussed this type of stuff. So they knew. I don't know if that was the case. There were rumors that he was going to be let go after the Ohio State loss. But again, it was business as usual. Maybe it was to save the recruiting class, which is null and void anyway right now. All those recruits can hop back in the portal. They have the 30-day window immediately. It's unfortunate. And when it comes down to, like you said, the personal side of it for Sherrone Moore and his family and everybody involved, I won't go any further in that type of discussion. But for the kids that are on campus, his career, I'll speak on that one, and his coaches, to your point, Will, that are bonded by contract to perform, it puts them in a bad situation. I don't know who they go after. Everybody continues to bring up, of course, Notre Dame's head coach. It's always going to be in that discussion.
Yeah,
Marcus Freeman.
Right.
Brian Kelly has come up. I don't think Brian Kelly goes to the Big Ten at all in these type of scenarios.
Well, the top name is on Pete Nakos' hot board.
Nick Saban.
Kalen DeBoer. There is a world. I don't think we're going to live in this world, but there's maybe a 1% chance that we live in a world where Kalen DeBoer goes to Michigan and all of a sudden Lane Kiffin is back on the market. Because it's well documented how much Lane Kiffin wanted to be the head coach at Alabama.
What was the rumor, allegedly? Why this took so long for Lane to decide?
Waiting until the end of the SEC championship game to make sure Kalen DeBoer, or excuse me, the end of the Iron Bowl, not the SEC championship game, my mistake. waiting until the end of the Iron Bowl to make sure Kalen DeBoer was still going to be the Alabama head coach before he took the LSU job. Now, I think that was more likely that they were making sure Ole Miss wasn't going to be in the SEC championship game, because I think he probably would have been allowed to coach the SEC title. Then he would have left for LSU. But either way, it's well documented how much Lane Kiffin has been linked to Alabama. Again, I do not think that is going to happen. I do think, though, that Kalen DeBoer is the top name on Michigan's list. And Pete Nakos heard about this. I do. Oh. Pete Nakos heard about this yesterday, said, currently in his second season with the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer was rumored to be tied to Penn State earlier this cycle. That was never going to be a factor. But DeBoer will surely be a factor in the Michigan search, sources have told On3. He has consistently won as an FBS head coach, bringing Washington to a CFP title game berth, and now having Alabama in the playoff in his second season in Tuscaloosa. He would have been a popular name at Michigan when Sharon Moore was hired, but he accepted the Alabama job before the Wolverines were in the market. Wow. I think Kalen DeBoer is perfect for Michigan. Michigan plays a one-game schedule. It's just the reality of it. Yeah. Unless they play Indiana, then they play a 2-game schedule now, because I guess Indiana's a force to be reckoned with.
Oregon, yeah.
Clearly.
And that depends on schedule, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in the Big Ten, when you can play one top 20 team the whole season, if you get the right unbalanced schedule, Indiana 2024 would like a word, then, you have a one-game schedule. It's called Ohio State on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. He is a big game coach. He routinely wins tight games against opponents he was supposed to blow out, but he'll still win them. I just wonder how much Alabama would fight to keep him, Ramon.
DeBoer at this
because
point.
At this point, the carousel is closed. So the timing of this, I think, would force Alabama to probably be a little bit more desperate, because now it's not about potentially losing Kalen DeBoer. I think if you had told Alabama people that 3 weeks ago, hearts aren't going to be broken.
No.
Considering the level of expectation there and what he has done. He's not done a bad job. I just mean relative to the Alabama expectations. But there is a big difference between losing your head coach the second week in December and the second week in November.
No doubt.
Because you got time and you've got the market. And that market is kind of closed. So does Alabama now, are they forced to be a little bit more desperate to keep their guy? Because at this point, if they don't keep their guy, they're in trouble.
Do Alabama fans not love DeBoer?
No, I don't think so. Wow. I don't think so. Yeah.
I felt like I knew that answer to that, but this is Alabama we're speaking of.
Again, it's hard to judge that because, again, social media is not real life on things like this. But the vibe that I get is that they're kind of waiting for the guy after the one who replaced the guy.
Yeah, that's always the case.
And I think we've talked about this with Stephen Godfrey. I think there would be a lot more interest in Alabama's job after Kalen DeBoer, because it is way easier for coaches to follow that guy than it is to follow Nick Saban.
The issue that they have is they're always going to be, this era, this generation is going to always be chasing Nick.
That's true. But less so when Kalen DeBoer was the one that had to go after Nick.
I know, but like the fan base.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Totally agree with that. Interesting. Names on three's hot board: Kalen DeBoer, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz, Washington head coach Jed Fish, Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee, Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham.
No way they're pulling a sitting coach with a new contract. Take Drink off, take Clark off.
Congratulations to Jimmy Sexton on the ability to get 2 extensions potentially for one of his guys or multiple of his guys. 615-737-1045.
Wow.
Speaking of coaching searches, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, in a nugget at ESPN.com, connected one coaching candidate to the Titans' open position. We will talk about that coming up next.
7:02, good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Titans were on the practice field yesterday as they began to prepare for Sunday's tilt against the 49ers. Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons, Tony Pollard, and Chigakonkwo all had the day off with rest. C.J. Ravenel missed practice with a toe injury, and James Williams Sr. missed practice with an illness. Jalen Armour Davis and Lloyd Cushenberry were both limited. In NFL news, good news for the Buccaneers is wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan have both been activated off of injured reserve, and they'll both play tonight as they host the Falcons on Thursday Night Football with kickoff at 7:15. In college football, the Tennessee Vols have their new defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, who they're expected to hire per multiple reports. Knowles was at Ohio State from 2022 to 2024, which included a national championship run last season. He was also at Penn State this past season with James Franklin coaching the defense for the Nittany Lions. Also, college football coaching carousel took a surprising turn yesterday after Michigan fired head coach Sharon Moore with cause after an investigation revealed that he was having an inappropriate relationship with a Michigan staffer. Moore was also detained by the police last night as they investigate potential charges for assault. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 of the program, kicking off your Thursday morning on Ramon and Will. 104.5 The Zone and Zone TV on your favorite podcast platform at 10 a.m. each morning. He's Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins is spinning the hits. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. How you join us? So ESPN.com's Jeremy Fowler has a nugget on the Titans coaching search and a connection between a name and the organization. Nothing we haven't already discussed, but at least worth addressing, Ramon, as it was written by a reputable source and a friend of the program that we trust. The Matt Nagy Titans connection is one that comes up in league circles with the belief that, this is Jeremy Fowler writing this, Tennessee GM Mike Bergonzi has a good relationship with Nagy from the Kansas City days. Nagy's Chicago tenure has aged well, going 34-31 with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. The Chiefs' struggles could affect Nagy's chances, but Jeremy Fowler says, I expect him to be a candidate in Tennessee. How significant is this on December the 10th, written yesterday, Ramon, in your opinion, from Jeremy Fowler?
I think it's very significant. I feel Jeremy Fowler's been a guy here that's been, I think, he's not Titan-centric, but he keeps a pulse, keep his hand on the pulse of what the Titans have going on. You mentioned the date. What's the date? The 11th?
December the 11th today. This was written yesterday.
I got a feeling this hire is probably going to be as soon as the season is over with, too. And Nagy name coming up this strong from a guy like Jeremy Fowler lets me know that somebody somewhere has kind of mentioned him numerous times, probably over here in Nashville at some point, too. I don't think this particular name was just dropped out of nowhere. Nagy has experience. He did well in Chicago. If you look at his track record and what he's attempting to do as a head coach, it fits what I think Cam Ward would want to be as a player. He's an RPO, spread out type of guy. He gives the quarterback free will to create and make plays. He wants to go down the field. It's quick. And again, he hadn't jumped into a second opportunity quick. I know there's probably going to be a lot of just discomfort with the name Nagy here in Nashville, Tennessee. But sometimes coaches the second time around get it right. We'll see. But I don't think this is a mistake that Nagy name is coming up from a guy like Jeremy Fowler.
4 seasons in Chicago, 12-4 in year one. That was the double doink year. Bears fans just had a cold chill down their spine if they're listening this morning. They were 12-4 in that 2018 season, 8-8 in 2019 and 2020, and 6-11 with the Chicago Bears in 2021. Matt Nagy has been with Andy Reid as his offensive coordinator for the last 3 seasons after Eric Bieniemy's exit following the 2022 year. 2023 through 2025, currently, The Kansas City Chiefs, 9th in yardage in 23, 16th in total offense in 24, 7th this year, the 11th scoring offense in the NFL. Do Kansas City's, Ramon, struggles, as Jeremy Fowler puts them yesterday at ESPN.com, impact Nagy's credentials to do this job for you at all?
Context got to be given. Left tackle's not been healthy all year. Right tackle really hadn't been healthy all year or good. Trey Smith has been out. Creed Humphrey, I think, is dealing with an injury, too. I don't think they've done as great of a job trying to find skill. They've had some retread skilled players come into their building, and I don't think it's the caliber. Travis Kelce's a little bit older. You have the defenses that hadn't held up their end of the bargain, too. Offensively, though, what you're seeing is still a competitive team, just not getting the results because this isn't the 2 years ago team in which Matt Nagy coached them offensively to a Super Bowl. I'm into second chances. It's just how the league is. It thrives off of guys that go to different places and get these types of opportunities. If you look at what Nagy could be here, he has the leadership. He's a culture guy. He understands how, if you like Andy Reid, how he operates. He can bring that to Nashville. If people are so high-strung on everything that Vrabel does in the culture or Bill Belichick, I think a guy getting another opportunity wouldn't want to squander it and say, hey, this is Chicago 2.0. I don't know if it's going to be a perfect hire, but here's what I feel about these type of situations. When fans aren't on board with it, it's usually the right hire, except for Shiano.
Yeah, there is some truth to that. Personally, I don't put a ton of stock in this yet with respect to Jeremy Fowler, who knows his stuff, and I think it is a logical connection to make. Ramon, similarly to the way we just saw Ryan Walters, the Washington defensive coordinator, get immediately connected by a national writer and Pete Nakos, again, reputable, as a name to watch for Tennessee's defensive coordinator search. I think at times before a search has really begun, we've got to differentiate between, all right, who is being talked to and who is just a logical connection. Yeah. The Titans are not talking to current coaches right now in the NFL. There is a process that has not started yet. There is a process that has started. I think the vetting, I think the accumulation of names, I think watching people that this organization trusts, obviously that started when the Titans had an opening. I'm curious where that process is and how narrowed down it is. I don't think it's the best thing for this team to have a really strong idea about who they're going to hire while football's still being played. I think they've got to have an open mind. I think they have to be able to talk to people and understand what different candidates can bring to the table, because someone may surprise them and someone in an interview may knock it out of the park, or someone you think is going to knock it out of the park as a 5-star candidate might be a 2 or 3-star candidate once you actually sit down with them and meet with them. It is an obvious fit from Mike Borgonzi's experience working along Matt Nagy. Yeah. So obviously this makes sense. I agree with Jeremy Fowler's reporting. I think it is logical to assume that he will be a candidate. How significant of a candidate he is? No clue. I don't put a ton of stock in this yet.
Not yet.
I think until the middle of January, we're making logical connections and not factual connections in who is legitimately involved in the job yet. We'll get to that point. I just don't think we're there yet.
It's going to be interesting because you got two prestigious, or you got another prestigious, historically NFL blue blood, and the Giants is going to be a well sought after job too. Marcus Freeman keeps getting brought up for that one too.
He does. That would be a crazy twist if Michigan and Notre Dame both came open as the portals open.
I do think Matt Nagy will be a strong candidate here. I do see that being a part of it, but. There's also, in my personal opinions, there's still going to be some sitting head coaches that get fired on Black Monday, the day after the last regular season game. Who are those names? I know we've mentioned John Harbaugh from time to time up in Baltimore. I don't know if they're going to let him go. Kevin Stefanski with the decisions that he's making. It seems like Cleveland has kind of settled in on him again. Right. Coach Tomlin, I don't know. I think that one's far-fetched that he would get fired at this point. So I think Mr. Rooney said something recently, or there was a report that, hey, Tomlin's fine. There's nothing that's going to happen.
Didn't Mike Tomlin say something to the effect of, I'm used to it. I've been on the hot seat for 19 years.
Yeah. He gets it, and there he goes winning again, man. Mm-hmm. So there will be a pull, but I do think Nagy would probably be in your top 3 just because of the connection.
Right.
And the quarterback sense, too.
If you were handicapping it today, it makes a lot of sense. There are, to your point, a lot of current head coaches at frustrated franchises.
It is.
And you just named a lot of them. I'll throw Sean McDermott in there. I'll even throw Dan Campbell in there. I think that there is a world where if the traditional powers, the Philadelphias, the San Franciscos, if those types of teams in the NFC are once again there when the dust settles, if Kansas City does somehow get back to an AFC championship or get back to a Super Bowl, which is looking very unlikely, but again, how many of these franchises who have been sitting on the doorstep and not let in the house get a little cold outside and get a little cold on who their coach is and want to force a change? Matt LaFleur is another one. You are doing yourself a disservice by getting too far down this process, and I don't think the Titans are getting too far down this process yet. I think that just speaking in terms of from the outside looking in, you would be doing yourself a disservice by getting too far down this process without seeing who could become available that you don't think is going to come available. That's where I'm at this point. It's a very unique offseason where it doesn't feel like there's going to be a ton of openings, but does a team maybe put a 4 or 5 star recruit out there for you to snatch up just for free? I don't know.
Like a Savion Hyder leaving Michigan?
Yeah, right.
Running back?
Who's the Savion Hyder of the NFL? Savion Hyder's a 5-star running back who signed with Michigan over Tennessee, there's a lot of speculation on if he'll come available again. Again, there's no guarantee of that. I just think that is the reason why this search can't get too far down the road until January. So for now, yeah, I agree with Jeremy Fowler. Matt Nagy's a candidate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we can speak with any level of confidence that he is a front runner or leading candidate before the process really begins.
I know we got Mac coming up, but I'd love to revisit this later just to get a pulse from the fan base. And does Matt Nagy move the needle for you?
Sure.
And like I said, my stance is when the fans are usually super in the opposite direction, it's probably the right call. I remember the conversation behind Coach Brian Callahan was a lot of people was excited about the idea of him being the head coach, and it kind of went down.
Coach Dave McGinnis joins us coming up next. Titans Radio's head coach previewing Titans and 49ers after this. Ramona Will continues on 104.5 The Zone at hour 2 this Thursday morning. With Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling, joined as we are at this time each and every Thursday by Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Mack, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Will, good morning. Good morning, Ramon.
Morning, Mac. Morning, Mac. Man, I listened to you guys last night, man. I think it was last night. Yeah, I was listening to you, Amy, and Rhett talk a little bit, man. I enjoy hearing you talk ball, Coach Mac, man.
Well, thanks, Ramon. I mean, I'd reciprocate that right back to you. That's a mutual admiration society there, brother.
Coach Mac, one thing I always remember you telling me, man, those folks out in West Texas, there's a lot of oil out there, and they sure know how to spend it, Coach Mac, on this college football stuff, man. That old Texas Tech team out there is kind of making some headway in this college football world now.
They weren't joking.
No.
Tony Campbell was not joking when he said, of course, first of all, anytime you sell a company for $13 billion, you've got a little extra change to work with.
Just a couple coins.
Yeah, and so, but I tell you what, when you really dig into what they've done out there, which is pretty interesting, the guy that's really the crux of it, other than Coach McGuire, but the guy that is from Orange, Texas, that is down there on the coast, that is their guy that really evaluates all of that talent, has been doing it for years. Because I think both of you guys know that now it's very important in college football. I mean, you have to have a pro personnel department. Mm-hmm. Basically, is what you have when you're looking at the transfer portal. But the talent evaluation is huge at that level, and also the asset allocation is huge. You can't just spend money to spend money. But they figured it out. They figured it out early, and they figured it out. Vanderbilt has figured it out. Let's be honest. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, had figured it out. It's a different world with this transfer portal and the whole NIL thing. They got it right there at Texas Tech, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves right now in Lubbock, Texas. I promise you.
I tell you, somebody that did not figure it out is the analyst Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, because he said he spent $1 million and the guy didn't even say thank you after he left, Coach Mack. He said he ain't doing it anymore is what I'm telling you, Coach Mack. He's done with the NIL thing.
Well, if Troy said that, first of all, Troy's got enough money to be able to get involved with UCLA or whoever he wants to get involved with. But that, and again, on the serious side of it, that's the downside of it if you don't have a handle on this, because if people are paying that kind of money as alums, as you said that Troy Aikman was, and then all of a sudden something happens that it doesn't work out, it's hard to keep going back to them, asking them to go in their pockets for it again.
Mm-hmm. It is a whole new world. Coach Mack, Titans Radio's head coach, with us. Mack, before we preview Titans and 49ers, I wanted to just ask you about the run game in Cleveland. What was working? What did that offensive line do that they weren't doing before on Sunday to be able to give Tony Pollard room to run? And to the credit, obviously, to Tony for taking advantage of the space he was given as the run game kind of woke up on Sunday.
Well, I mean, again, in watching practice, I mean, I'm privy to a lot of things that that's going to go on, which I can't talk about because you just don't. I mean, that's just part of the agreement. But when in clear view, when you watch the game, you could tell that they were doing a lot of things with formations and personnel, and plus they had a very good idea, as to where that game wrecker from Cleveland was lined up. I mean, they knew where he was lined up. And it was extremely, extremely important to do two things. First of all, they were running a lot of those geo pull things. I mean, that just wasn't inside and outside zone. There was some down blocks. It was a geo scheme, and then they would put two people at a 12 personnel over there to whichever side their heavy rusher was on, and then they were sure that they had one or two hats all the time for that guy. And here's the other thing too, and I don't know this for a fact, but just for the narrative going into the ball game, I mean, one of the narratives that was out there in the ether was that they were going to break the sack record, against the Titans, and anytime you're doing that, I mean, you've got to play football first and let all of that stuff come to you. But I give a lot of credit not only to the game plan, but to the ability and the discipline to stay with it. And also, they were getting hats on hats. I mean, I've heard Ramon talk about this a lot, and, you know, he lived that life. If you get in a flow, start getting hats on hats, and you start blocking people at that second level, and you're also getting those third and fourth level blocks downfield, I mean, a lot of those runs were clear, what we call clear view runs, before he was ever touched by anybody. And when your run game is producing that, and you're not only producing yardage is nice, you know, and chain moving is nice, but scoring touchdowns along with it, then you start separating the score in your favor, which has happened very few times this year for this Titans team. But when it does, then it gives you the chance to put a defense, regardless of how good the defense is, in a two-way strut. Anytime a defense has got to play everything 50-50, especially on first and second down, the advantage goes to the offense. It's just structurally true.
Coach Mack, when you look at this San Francisco 49ers defense, they have outscored opponents 46-17 in the last two games against Carolina in Week 12 and Cleveland in Week 13. What does Robert Saleh do to confuse quarterbacks?
Well, the thing that he does, Robert Saleh's defenses, wherever he has been, have always been very, very technique sound. I mean, they're very much a defense that always fits very well. That's the first thing when I'm looking at tape, and I just generically watch how they play different runs. How good do they fit on a consistent basis? If you've got people that are stopping the run every now and then just because they're flogging gaps and they're blitzing and they're making big plays, but the majority of the time you can see that they're misfit or that they're double gapping, those types of things. You don't ever see that with a solid defense. That's number one. Number two, he's doing it with some guys that have some major contributors that have been out. So I would say, Will, just off the top, just watching several games, and of course, I've known his defenses since he's been in the league. It's very, very structurally sound. Some defenses are more structurally sound than others. That's what this one is.
Coach Mack, on the opposite side of the ball, Kyle Shanahan in the offense is eccentric. It moves around like a circus, Coach Mack. What's the baseline that you give your defense for going into this week on how to handle the undressing and motions that Kyle Shanahan and that 49ers offense provide to you?
Well, that's the perfect pointed question for this. I've been involved in defending this system since the Bill Walsh days. Yeah. All right, and it was when I first started, it was in 1986 with the Bears when we were playing them, when we were two of the premier NFC teams. It was something that really caught your attention defensively because there are so many things to look at. You're right. It's a great way to put it, as the undressing that they try to do visually with against the defense, because the various ways that they move around. This offense is a timing offense. It creates space, but it creates space, by movement. It creates a lot of illusions that you've got to understand what the basis of it is, and you've got to be very, very. First of all, you got to study film when you're getting ready to play this offense. The one that knows how to run it. Now they know how to run it. The offshoots of this offense are throughout the league now. But when it first started with Bill Walsh, and then through Shanahan, and then now all the other iterations that we see, there are some basic principles of it. But they create space. That's why that you can watch what McCaffrey does. McCaffrey, is a guy that has got tremendous numbers. I know Will knows all the numbers that with playing, catching the football and running the football, because that's what this is the same thing they did with Roger Craig. We're going back to forever and ever with this thing. So defensively, first of all, you've got to understand what the basis of it is, because you cannot get fooled. You cannot get fooled by, as you call it, the undressing early on and start chasing ghosts with this offense. You've got to have a base point where you set at, and then you've got to understand. And the other thing is, Kyle Shanahan is just like his father. He's very good at stacking calls. Yeah. He's very good at setting up calls, at stacking calls, and then he knows the offense so well that if something is happening and the defense is attacking it in a certain way, he has a counterpunch to it immediately. You've got to be a thinking person when you're playing this offense.
Coach Mack, I'd love to sit here and talk to you about Trent Williams because we enjoy the trenches, but everybody loves the quarterback, Coach Mack. So we'll talk about Brock Purdy, okay? He's back in the fold, and he's looking like the toe is good. He's moving well, had a rushing touchdown against the Browns. What does he provide to that complicated undressing type of offense when he's back behind center, Coach Mack? Because as a late-round draft pick, he knows how to throw it. He's mobile, and he checks the boxes that a lot of this offense wants a quarterback to provide.
So you're 100% correct. Now, look, the guy that guides this offense is going to be just like, I mean, the first one that started, with Montana, and you wouldn't say that Montana was an elite athlete, but he was an elite quarterback for this reason. Yeah. He understood the system, got rid of the ball. Just look at none of the people in this offense that are running it correctly. There's don't give up a lot of sacks. The ball comes out. The ball comes out very, very quickly. Because look at what's going on. Look at what's going on. Go all the way to what Stafford is doing right now. At the Rams, that ball is out. The ball is out, and they know where to throw it. And it's not about having a howitzer of an arm. It's having a real innate knowledge of where your throws go, what your outlets are, what your answers are. That's why Purdy is so good at it. You've got to be a distributor of the football to play quarterback in this system and play it the right way. You've got to be a dealer. That's what he is, and that's why he's been so successful regardless of where he was drafted.
Coach Dave McGinnis with us, Titans Radio's head coach, presented as always by Two Rivers Ford. Mac, one of the alphabet numbers, like you say, about the Titans this week. Since their Week 10 bye, the Titans have generated a pressure rate of 42% on opposing dropbacks. That is the third highest rate in the NFL. What has impressed you, Mac, about the way Denard Wilson and this defense have been able to scheme up pressure on opposing quarterbacks, especially over these last 4 games?
Well, especially the last 4 games, I think we're seeing, a healthy Jeffrey Simmons again. And plus, Big T Sweat being in there next to him. And then, Arden Key, Jalen Harrell, everybody on the edge is starting to get into the act a little bit. And you're right, Denard has had to, especially when he was missing Jeff and he was missing Big Sweat for a while, he had to be able to manufacture some of that pressure. But now that those guys are healthy, Will, I think is one of the biggest things is, and then let's just be honest. Because the Titans haven't won a lot of games, a lot of times you don't get much recognition if you don't win games. That's just the life in this league. It's just the truth. But Jeffrey Simmons has been on a heater all year. He's been on a heater, and when you've got a guy like that doing something, it really makes everybody else step up a little bit too, Will.
Mac, I thought it was interesting yesterday. Mike McCoy was asked about teaching technique and mechanics for Cam Ward during the season versus just kind of managing week to week. He made the comment like a lot of that is for the offseason, right? And there's not a whole lot of wholesale changes that you're going to make week to week in the National Football League. Mac, I was just curious if you could speak to that and just from quarterback to all positions, how much time do y'all really get for the individual development for quote-unquote technique and changing mechanics at any position? And where is that balance, Mac, between developing young football players, teaching lessons to guys who are learning on the job while also understanding that there's a game to be played and a game plan to be implemented each and every week?
Well, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, especially with young people that don't have a lot of experience. Because you're right, Will. You're trying to balance both of those things to begin with. You never get away from technique. You don't ever get away from technique, but being able to drill down in on it, as you know, both of you guys know. Ramon can tell you during the week. Once you start game planning, there are specific things you have to do for each opponent that are extremely, extremely important. But you never really get away. You never really get away completely from technique. You can't, because that's what you lean on now. To be able to refine it and to be able to spend a lot of time on it, that clearly is something that you have more time to do, because that is the crux of the off season.
Mac, on a week like this week, do you decide to take one away, and that one is Christian McCaffrey? How do you zone in on the who? Because there's so many different moving parts with Juszczyk, the fullback that can catch it out the backfield and also run it. You got George Kittle, you got Juwan Jennings, but the straw that stirs the entire thing is Christian McCaffrey. Is that the guy you kind of hone in on whenever you're facing this type of team?
Yeah, but it has to be a piece of the puzzle. You have to defend. The best way I can put it, what we used to do defensively is first of all, you got to understand and defend the system. Does that make sense?
Yep, does.
You understand and defend the system, and then you start focusing on the individual parts of the system.
I get that, because it was times where you have mobile quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, or you have quarterbacks that, run this option stuff. And only thing that I heard the coaches speak about in those big team meetings before we broke up was, if he's running the football, he's a runner. You hit him no matter what. To your point about what does it mean to defend the system? The system is he's a runner. You punish a quarterback who's attempting to be a runner. And it'll be interesting to see how the Titans do that this weekend.
Well, and here's the point. I mean, and really when you step back and you look at it from a 30,000-foot view without being biased, they've had a lot of injuries on that team, and they're still won 9 games. That tells you something.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Tay McGinnis with us Thursdays at 7:20. Titans and 49ers on Titans Radio this weekend from Santa Clara. Looking forward to it, Mac. Thank you.
All right, guys. My pleasure. See you.
See you,
Yes,
Mac.
sir. Coach Mac with us this morning, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coming up, Utah made major headlines in a very newsy week in college athletics. What Utah did that will have major ripple effects in college athletics. How private equity and college football are now tied together. Coming up next.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, and Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
One of the largest sports books east of the Mississippi, Circa Sports Kentucky, is now open. Catch all your favorite games on an 80-foot screen with stadium-style seating and live VSiN broadcast daily. Circa Sports, now open at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
My dad and I used to golf together all the time, but when he hurt his back, it was over.
To have your son want to spend time with you is amazing. That's why my chronic back pain has been so heartbreaking. Surgery, fused bones, long recovery. No way, not for me. A friend recommended stem cells, so I gave Kellum Stem Cell Institute a call.
I'm glad you're out on the course.
Yeah, it's really good.
Call the Kellum Stem Cell Institute today. Swing still looks just okay though.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams.
Work. It's what we do. Part of who we are. There is joy in work. And no matter what size your business is, the dedicated commercial team at Two Rivers Ford will find the work trucks and vans that keep your business moving. And Two Rivers is the only dealer that offers a 90-day free fleet management program that can help you save money on every single mile. The Commercial Vehicle Center at Two Rivers Ford. We work for you.
Wrapping up the first half of the show on Ramon and Will. Some Thursday 3 picks for you coming up in a half hour. 104.5 The Zone TV, where you watch the show, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. The University of Utah, Ramon, has announced a plan to help the athletic department generate new revenue streams in a new partnership with a private equity firm. Announcing Tuesday the formation of Utah Brands and Entertainment, LLC. Going to be owned by the university's foundation, being touted as a way to build the school's brand and enhance the athletic programs. The new company, according to Yahoo Sports, could generate around $500 million in capital. Pandora's box has been opened, Ramon. What is the ripple effect? What are the ramifications, in your opinion, as private equity gets in bed with college athletics?
A passionate fan base and control of their thing regionally is being lost, is all it is. Like the say-so that fans have on social media and how they can affect coaches and how you're able to touch, or influence and decisions sometimes. How you support them is going to be different. How it looks, I think, is going to be different. But here's the thing, though, too. It's only so much that I think a school who's trying to compete can do or ask of its fan base before this has to happen. And I said it because through this NIL era that college football has kind of gone to, and I, as a former player in college, begged of coaches in the NCAA at time, and I tweeted about it earlier in my professional career, that, hey, y'all need to start paying these guys some type of salary. Give them something. And nothing ever happened, and now it's opened up Pandora's box to asking fans, all these different collectives, agents that aren't certified, to help control and facilitate 17, 18 to 22-year-old, heck, some of them 25, 26-year-old players' mindsets and their ability to earn. We mentioned this about the Troy Aikman situation where he spoke about him not giving another dime to NIL, which is his school at UCLA. Like, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care. It's like somebody can ask me for $20 every single day. Like, you probably think, well, that doesn't affect you. At some point, I'm going to get tired of giving you $20 every single day.
Right.
Right? And that's the point I think that universities are going to run into as the coaching salaries will go up higher. Like, we're talking about Jim Knowles, the Vols soon-to-be defensive coordinator. He was taken from Ohio State as a coordinator and paid him over $3 million. Why? Because Penn State wanted to compete. Well, where do you get the $3 million from? We understand every university has their big donors. We know the ones at Tennessee. Peyton Manning is a big-time donor. The Haslam's are big donors. Pilot. There's a lot of big donors. Vandy got theirs. Memphis got theirs. Everybody's got them. Texas Tech have theirs too. But I don't care if it's $1 billion or $2 billion. At some point in time, you're going to get tired of giving that money. So this is where venture capitalists come into. So now you have the opportunity to say, I'll invest $250,000 with you. And I've been asking the question. I brought it up last week. I think I asked Austin or Brent. I was like, where's the return on me giving you money? Well, now you don't have to worry about the return. If you put into this, you'll get money back. Big business had to come into this. Mm-hmm. And every university that's trying to keep up with the SEC, the Big Ten, hell, the ACC is trying to survive right now.
Right.
Virginia is going to do this if they hadn't already.
Right. I mean, in a world where there really is no cap,
none,
on the money coming in and the resources that you can utilize, this is what happens. When you've got a big field and you don't build a fence around the field, the cows can roam wherever they want.
The ball can roam all the way back there, and it's a home run. Yeah.
I think that's the challenge, and that's where professional sports have this. Well, beyond baseball, where the Dodgers have now, with their war chest, had 2 straight championships. Professional sports, I mean, in the NFL being the best example, have gotten this right, that the cap is what it is. Obviously, there are ways to manipulate it. Obviously, there are ways, if you are a cash-rich organization and ownership group, to manipulate the cap. But in a college world where it is so challenging to enforce anything, there's no need to even get more specific. In the world of college athletics, where the NCAA has no power and there's not a governing body to regulate what you can spend and what you can spend on, this is what happens.
Yeah.
So until there are some kind of guardrails, teams are going to take. And there's never going to be enough money. And playoff processes and playoff brackets are going to continue to benefit moneymakers first and foremost, TV networks second, and then players, coaches, and fans, they'll just get lumped over here somewhere on the back end. That's the reality of where college sports is right now. The new business model and has the backing of Utah's Board of Trustees. The deal could be finalized by early next year. School president Taylor Randall, athletic director Mark Harlan spelled out the groundwork, saying the university will transfer some of its revenue-generating operations from athletics and auxiliary services to Utah Brands and Entertainment. Randall, the university president, saying, importantly, the university is not selling parts of our athletic department, ceding operational control to a third party, or relinquishing control of any facilities. Decisions regarding sports, coaches, scheduling, operations, student-athlete care, and other athletics matters will remain solely with the athletics department. That's, I think, the key here.
Yeah.
When private equity gets involved in sports, the question from private equity will become, how does this make us more money? How do we do anything to make us more money? That way we can get in, buy, raise the value, sell, get out, make money. We're out the door. We'll see you. Yeah. Obviously, that creates a dangerous precedent when private equity companies are making scheduling and logistical decisions for college athletics, because then you got Title IX. You have so many other guardrails that come into place that are beyond the NCAA's purview. But fascinated to see the ripple effects of this.
I'm not mad at it because it takes the a sting away from the fan having to always be asked for money. There's given day always at universities. Like, you can donate to the university at this point.
Well, if I'm not going to get punished for putting my hand in the cookie jar, then I'm going to keep eating cookies.
I got it. If I get no cavities,
yeah, right.
Like, I'm in there.
100%.
I don't get the beaters.
It is the result of poor leadership and a lack of guardrails in college athletics to allow something like this to happen, to take until you are told you can't take anymore.
I say, but can you blame any university? Like, there was in the same article, I think it was Ross Dellinger that wrote this one.
Yes, the original report from
the original report was Ross Dellinger. There was a private equity company that wanted to come in, hear this one, and facilitate the entire Big Ten. They had a deal on the table, and what do they got? It was 16 of the 18 teams were for it. It was about $2.1 billion to fund the Big Ten. I think they said it was a couple schools that backed out, USC and Michigan. Those two schools decided to back out and was like, I guess say, no, we want to do this ourselves. We don't want a level playing field because y'all a bunch of broke boys over there. That's what I got from it, okay? Let me know if I'm wrong in my summary of what they were doing. But this is an entire conference basically being funded with $2.1 billion. That's a big number.
Well, and the Big Ten hasn't totally gotten on board with private equity because a couple of their institutions are very against it.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I think they said SC and Michigan were against. But the idea that
Michigan won't do it.
16 of them said, "Yeah, I'm good."
Right. Yeah. So this is the whole new world.
And Michigan State went ahead and did their own too. Well, they got what was it?
Utah's the first one to really get in bed with private equity to this extent. This is a first in what might be many. Coming up, second half of the show, hour number 3, Thursday 3, coming up at 8:20. Taylor Zarzer going to stop by in studio talking Titans 49ers and some college football as well in the fourth hour. You'll hear from Mike McCoy coming up on Conversations with Cam Ward on the desire to be great, coming up next.
It's Ramon Foss for Hillett Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, they're supposed to come by my house on Monday, actually, for a little issue they're going to get taken care of, man. But that's just what they do. They're quick with their service and quick with their response also. Whether you're dealing with a plumbing, HVAC, or an electrical emergency, most of the time in these situations, you don't know what it's going to cost you if it'll get it fixed right, or if there's someone just trying to sell you something you don't need. That's not Hillett at all. When you call them, the experts are going to solve your problems quickly. And the price you're told is the price that you will actually pay. There are no hidden fees or surprises on your bill when you get it. They've been in business for over 35 years and are family owned and operated. Their techs are very professional, experienced, and trustworthy. And they're all background and drug screened too. When they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time. So you're not sitting around wasting time for somebody to show up. The motto, and they truly believe this, happy you'll be, the service is free. They don't put the smiley face on the side of the truck for no particular reason, man. If you're not happy with what they've done, they will fix it for you or just simply give you your money back. To learn more about Hiller or to book with them like I do, go to their website at happyhiller.com.
8 o'clock on the dot. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Titans were on the practice field for the first time of the week yesterday as they begin to prepare for Sunday's tilt against the 49ers. Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons, Tony Pollard, Chig Okonkwo all had a rest day yesterday. C.J. Ravenel missed practice with a toe injury, and James Williams Sr. missed with an illness. Jalen Armour-Davis and Lloyd Cushenberry both were limited yesterday. In NFL news, it was good news for the Buccaneers as wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan both were activated off of injured reserve, and they will both play tonight as they host the Atlanta Falcons for Thursday Night Football tonight with kickoff at 7:15. In college football, good news for the Tennessee Vols as they have the new defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, who they're expected to hire per multiple reports. Knowles was at Ohio State from 2022 to 2024, which included a national championship run last season and also at Penn State this past season with James Franklin for the Nittany Lions. Also, football coaching carousel took a surprising turn yesterday after Michigan fired head coach Sharon Moore with cause after an investigation revealed that he was having an inappropriate relationship with the Michigan staffer. Moore was also detained by the police last night after he was released as they investigate potential charges for assault. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into the 8 a.m. hour on Ramon and Will. Second half of the show on your Thursday morning, affectionately known around here as Friday Junior. Justin Hawkins makes the show happen. Ramon Foster is in the building. I'm Will Bowling at Ramon and Will on Twitter, where you get us. And, of course, the F&M Big Chat is open. The show is streamed live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, an injury report, a practice day, a preparation for the San Francisco 49ers. In that injury report, you have some rest days. Kevin Zeitler did not practice, rest. Jeffrey Simmons did not practice with rest. Same case for Chig Okonkwo and Tony Pollard, who I would say earned that, to say the least, with his performance against the Cleveland Browns. Dan Moore, a full participant with a neck injury, which is good for him coming off of what briefly sidelined him against Cleveland. Of course, he did come back later in the game. Jalen Armour-Davis limited as he works his way back from an Achilles injury. And James Williams, a non-participant with an illness. C.J. Ravenel, non-participant with a toe injury as well. Jim Wyatt did note at TennesseeTitans.com as well, Xavier Restrepo did not practice on Wednesday either after leaving the November 30th game against Jacksonville with an ankle injury.
Tough for Strepo, man. Hopefully at some point he gets right back because what sucks for him is his opportunities need to be quick and need to be very impactful for undrafted free agents, man. I don't say that as of a guy that ran a 4.8. I say that as somebody that was undrafted to understand that they will move on quicker from an undrafted guy. So get back as quick as you can, X.
A lot of conversation this week about Cam Ward's post-game comments to the media after the win over the Cleveland Browns, after talking about the need to clean things up, the need to fix things, the mentality that he's got, even after a win. Mike McCoy was asked about that yesterday. This was the Titans interim head coach's thoughts.
But like we've said every day about Cam, since we've talked together, is he wants to be great. He has a burning desire to be great. He wants to play his best game every week, and that's just the way he is. He's a competitor, and he wants to go out there and do his job at a very high level, or play at a very high level week in and week out. So that's what you love about him.
Did you have any conversation with him about not being excited enough after the win?
I've talked to him.
How did he take the feedback?
Oh, he's great. He wants to be key. That's the great thing about Cam. You could sit down with Cam, regardless of the tougher conversations, the good conversations. He wants to be coached hard, and I think part of my job is to help him, not just in everything of being an NFL quarterback, not just on the field, off the field, how you prepare and all those things. And I think we've had some great conversations the past couple of weeks, and that's what I love doing with young players, is just kind of helping them and just give them some advice. But I want the guys to be themselves also. So that's the great thing about Cam. He's a true competitor. He wants to be great. So.
I'm curious, what issue did you have with that made you want to speak to him about this?
Well, Cam and I, we talk about a lot of things. So, on a weekly basis, him and I sit down and talk about a wide variety of things. So whether it's the game, like what you're asking about, talk to him about that, things like that. So there's plenty of conversations we have.
It's Titans interim head coach Mike McCoy speaking with the media yesterday. Remo, the Titans knew what they were getting in Cam Ward when they drafted him. And to me, the mentality, the way that he carries himself, you signed up for that when you drafted Cam Ward. I don't think it is a negative. I personally think that it's a positive as a culture resetter. Yes, Cam Ward is wired a little bit differently. Differently is not a negative. That does not have a negative connotation. And to me, if there's something that I think this locker room needs, it's someone that's going to push them after a win. And certainly had no issue with anything that Cam said Sunday, and understand where Mike McCoy is coming from as well.
I'm torn on this conversation for a lot of different reasons, of course. It's funny how everybody's eating off this conversation. But Cam is Cam. You said it correctly. You knew what type of guy you were getting whenever you drafted him. You knew the attitude came with it, and I say attitude in a good way. You knew the fire and drive. Here's what I would just say about it all. Losing affects you bad. Especially if you've never lost like this, or you're paid millions of dollars with the expectation that you're supposed to win and it's supposed to be good, or at least you're not supposed to be this bad. Well, it's just bad right now, and maybe that's just how Cam is. Like, I don't know him, so I'm not going to speak on how I think he is. But here's what I would say: there's a level of enjoyment in everything that you do. For coaches who want to go up to him and try to address this, and if players have something to say to him about, man, enjoy the good times. And that's just kind of how it is. There's a different life in it being about you as a player and it being about the team too. And that's where I feel like the conversation should go. This rebuild ain't going to happen and just hoping it does happen. It happens over time. The conversation of we've been down this road before and Cam's too good for the Titans, or Cam needs to do this. Like, he's a rookie. Rookies have to fall in line. I don't care where they were drafted at. I don't care how good they are, how bad they are. All rookies have to fall in line. And I think it's smart for Coach Mike McCoy and others to kind of try to guide him through this. And unless Chad Brinker and Mike Bergonzi got some pixie dust that they're going to sprinkle over this team and make them Super Bowl contenders, there may be a little bit more of this too. I don't think anybody should ever be conditioned to losing. I don't think you should get comfortable in winning either. Cam has a point in that and his comments after the game. And I think it's smart for him to play it that way. The franchise quarterback comments are always going to be scrutinized. They're always going to be the top of the conversation list no matter what. And I've said this before. The catering and protection of quarterbacks is weird to me in all sports, though, too. And I said this, and I've said this about my quarterback, too. Franchise quarterbacks are fragile. I said this about my quarterback, too. Okay? It's not a Cam.
You're not singling out Cam.
I'm not singling out Cam.
In general.
Franchise quarterbacks are fragile. It's one of 32 most powerful positions in all the sports. I love LeBron James. I love Michael Jordan. I love Carmelo Anthony. I think Ja Morant, when he's at the top of his game, is one of the best superstars ever. But nobody gets the eyes and lights like a franchise quarterback, and they know that too. And you got to cater to them. You almost have to coddle them a little bit. And this protection of his feels and that type of stuff, I think, is a little bit overblown. People just have different ways of reacting to stuff. But I get it, because if you hit on the guy, and a lot of this fan base, and I think the front office with the Titans think Cam is the guy, then you live, you eat. Everybody does that. It's just it's an interesting conversation right now. And as a vet, as a guy that was in the vet positions where it wasn't the quarterback I had to deal with, it was other positions like a wide receiver. Like, little dog, it's going to be all right. Like, It's fine.
I have two opinions on this. I have two things on this. First of all, I would so much rather deal with someone who cares too much than someone who cares too little.
Very true.
First and foremost.
Very true.
Do I think Cam Ward necessarily cares too much? No. But again, I'm speaking in general terms as well. I would rather have someone who needs to be reined in versus sent out. So that's number one. Secondly, I think this, I'm not blaming anyone personally for it. I just think that, to your point, in a 2-11 season, we've got to differentiate real problems from manufactured problems. This, to me, is not a problem for Cam Ward, in my opinion.
No.
I think there are enough things that this team on the football field wants to improve and wants to fix. And I think there's plenty of time to talk about those things, to talk about protecting Cam better as the most sacked quarterback in this league, to talk about a young secondary that's had injuries and trades, that have some guys learning on the job, that it didn't play its best against Shedeur Sanders on Sunday. There are enough things to really analyze in the football field without us needing to go find more in this context, to where, and again, I'm not blaming media. I'm not blaming anyone for this. I think it is the entire dialogue that really just makes this something that is not a problem. Is it something to discuss? Sure. Is it a conversation? Yes. I want to look at this from the context of this is being talked about. And so when there is something at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park that you guys find interesting and media wants to ask about, and there are interesting questions and answers given, we're going to talk about it. And I think that falls into that. I don't think this falls into the boat of Titans problems. I think there's a difference between the two. I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's important. And at this point for Cam Ward, I think that it is just who he is. That is the reality of Cam Ward's personality. It is the reality of why you picked him. There are many reasons why the Tennessee Titans last April decided the draft capital they could get for the New York Giants was not worth it. And it wasn't just Cam Ward's arm that made him worth it. We talked about this and wished for it, Ramon, all offseason. We can't complain about it once we get it. We talked about leadership. We talked about a guy that's going to come in. We spoke in a positive context about the story Josh Pate told on the Buck Rising show about a quarterback that came in very quickly at Miami and was adamant with his teammates of what the new standard was. We signed up for that. I don't think we can complain about it when we get it.
All right.
Not everyone's complaining about it. This is just my 2 cents, and speaking for myself and myself only, not a commentary on anyone else, in that I think Cam Ward's personality and attitude is a positive for this franchise, not a negative.
The separator that I would put in that, though, too, great points. You're 100% correct on that one. Where this franchise probably needs, this franchise does need a good bit of that or more of that, because Jeff's delivered on that. I feel like you look at Cedric Gray, he's delivered on that. Amani Hooker's delivered on that too. The pieces in which you're asking one sole person to carry for you or be a representation for you is being done by others too. It's just, of course, like I said, the quarterback position is more elevated and highlighted by the words they say and how they react though too. You mentioned this team needing that. The difference between the different levels to me, from college to NFL, is college is done with a whole lot of passion, right? In hopes of getting to the next level.
Pageantry,
right? And the optics of it, Vol walks, whatever the walks, the
There's
Commodore
a lot of pomp
walk.
and circumstance and extra non-football stuff around college football.
The molding of Cam's attitude into this team to deliver his message and his standards, though, they will hit a little bit different, in my personal opinion, than it would be if you're talking to college kids versus NFL.
Or
Jeff's
even
30.
To piggyback off that, even if you're talking to a linebacker.
Yeah.
Or a safety or a wide receiver.
In the league, I'll say this. Now, you got to set a culture in it. And it may mean a lot more guys have to leave this team for that culture to get established, probably the way Cam wants it to be, or what satisfies him. If he's ever, I don't know what satisfies him, okay? Winning usually does. But we're having a conversation about him not being satisfied with a dub, right? So I don't know what those next steps are going to be, what this team needs to look like, how a competitive win satisfies you or not. But the mentality of some guys inside of your locker room on championship teams, on teams that win 12, 13, 14 games a season is, man, I'm just here to do my damn job. Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
right or wrong.
It is a job.
It's just a different mentality. Am I making a Pro Bowl? Yes or no? And again, performance on keeping your job is what matters in the NFL, respectfully.
Sure.
And a lot of guys have that mindset, even on Super Bowl winning teams. They do.
Coming up, Thursday, 3 picks against the spread for the upcoming weekend of games. We don't have as many games to choose from. This is where the men are separated from the boys in weekends like this, when you don't have, for me, Bill Connolly's S&P Plus metric to help me make picks. So we'll see how this goes. Thursday, 3 picks for the upcoming football weekend are next.
It's Ramon Foster for Jewel Roofing and Exteriors, man. They're proudly based here in Middle Tennessee. They've been serving communities from Clarksville to Murfreesboro. Robbie Van Norman, man, is the owner. My guy, what up, Robbie, man? He lives right in Hendersonville. He and his wife and children, man, or child that they have, man. They're local, they're licensed, they're experienced, and not just some out-of-town crew, man. They don't door knock or storm chase at all. Instead, they build relationships. They educate homeowners and earn referrals through trust. Jewel Roofing and Exteriors is your long-term partner in protecting your home. And it's not just a quick fix, all right, that disappears. A free inspection can help you catch the early signs of roof trouble before they turn into a costly damage. From attic stains to shingle issues, it came by and fixed the shingles on my crib, man, and or even rising energy bills. They can help you no matter what, man. They believe this. If you'll use them now or you'll use them later. If there's an issue that you need fixed right now, they'll let you know. But if it's not, they'll say, call us in 10 years or whenever you do have an issue, man. To learn more about Jewel Roofing, man, you can call them at 615-868-9999. Visit their website at jewelroofing.com. That's Jewel Roofing with 2 L's.com.
The best financial move you can make this time of year, how about lowering your mortgage rate to 4.99% fixed APR, the lowest rate in years? How about getting up to $500,000 out of your home equity in the process? You can do it now by calling Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Will Bowling. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get a ton of cash, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and skip up to 2 house payments. One homeowner just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. Wiped out their credit cards and 2 car loans and saved $2,100 a month. Don't wait. No hard credit pull up front, and you probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Act now. Call 615-499-5780 or visit loanpronto.com. Start the new year by wiping out all higher interest debt and lowering your bills by thousands. Call 615-499-5780 and see how much cash you can get today. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone continues in Hour 3 this morning. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins. Thursdays mean picks, mean looking ahead at the upcoming football weekend. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just saw this from Yahoo as I pull it up, Ramon. I don't think that Pete Bavacqua's media tour is going very well.
Why you say that?
The Notre Dame athletic director. Per Dan Wolken of Yahoo Sports, after learning of Notre Dame's Memorandum of Understanding that grants the Irish preferential playoff access starting next year, athletic directors in other leagues are threatening to freeze Notre Dame out of future schedules.
Are they really?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the article right now. It just came out.
What a time.
I guess this came out yesterday afternoon. I'm just seeing this for the first time. It was tweeted out by Yahoo Sports 58 minutes ago. Dan Wolken writing, the more Notre Dame squawks and threatens like a 7-year-old mad at their parents because they didn't get a stuffed animal at the state fair. Wow, Dan. Okay. The more reasonable it is to wonder whether there's something more going on besides frustration over a college football playoff snub. Long simmering complaints on both sides of the Notre Dame ACC relationship have started to spill into the public discourse since Sunday. Issues that have been brewing under the surface for a couple of years, largely tied which football games the ACC owes Notre Dame and its unique scheduling arrangement, have erupted like a pimple under a hot compress. Combined with the Florida State Clemson settlement earlier this year that set exit fees at a manageable $75 million in 2030 to 31, it's hard to escape the feeling that the clock is ticking for both the ACC and Notre Dame's place in it. Wow. Interesting stuff here. So Dan goes on to point out exactly what Pete Bavacqua said. He's been on multiple shows saying that irreparable damage has done between the ACC and Notre Dame's relationship, all of these things. It's been very sour grapes by the end of this. And, I mean, they've got a scheduling agreement with USC that's very much in limbo. Very much in limbo. Dan Wolken saying Notre Dame's 2026 schedule isn't shaping up much better, I believe, than a year ago. Says maybe Wisconsin, Michigan State, Stanford, and North Carolina will get their act together. But aside from a home game against Miami and a trip to Southern Cal, it's not good, and it's probably going to get worse, especially if Notre Dame can't come to an agreement with USC to extend their long-standing rivalry. Texas, also smarting for the missed college football playoff, has made noise about canceling its series with Notre Dame in 2028 and 29. Athletic directors in other leagues who learned from Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger on Sunday about the Memorandum of Understanding that grants Notre Dame preferential playoff access are threatening to freeze them out of future schedules. Parentheses, who knows if they'll follow through. For all its issues, Notre Dame fills stadiums and drives TV ratings. There's no doubt about that.
But that's a baseline for them, though.
If Notre Dame can't attract the kind of opponents that they have to play in order for them to have a chance at the playoff,
I love this.
We are finally coming upon the exact perfect storm that would force them to join a conference.
Yep, I love this.
We'll see if the athletic directors follow through on it. Because, Ramon, from Texas's perspective, they also have incentive not to schedule Notre Dame because look at what just happened when they scheduled Ohio State.
Yep.
They played themselves into a loss, which kept them out of the playoff. Mm-hmm. You cannot convince me that if they had played Illinois instead of Ohio State and won, which they would have, that Texas would not be in the college football playoff right now over Miami as the last team in at 10-2, 100%. Even with a loss to Florida. Considering the win they had over Texas A&M, interesting.
This is a get down or lay down moment for Notre Dame.
It is a 100% line in the sand moment.
Yeah, it is. I know their fan base is very well represented across this nation. But what's crazy is this, the discussion around Tulane and what their conference gets to get per team, because Tulane made it to the CFP. I think it's like $360,000 a piece per each team or something like that, enough for their entire budget. The issue that Notre Dame is having that other teams aren't liking, and it is a situation where it might be a little bit of jealousy in this. You get to keep all the money, Notre Dame. They don't have to share it with anybody as far as football is concerned.
They are sold to NBC essentially as their own conference.
And they have a partnership. If I'm the ACC, I'm ticked at them that they allow 5 teams to play against them yearly. But the ACC doesn't get any payoff from allowing you to use and beat up their teams.
Right.
So, yes, if I am the ACC, if I am the Big Ten, and I know, like I said, I listened to Brady Quinn coming in a couple of days ago. He was discussing, like, why Notre Dame wasn't allowed to go to the Big Ten, what was the Western Conference or something like that, because of religious reasons and stuff like that with the church. And I'm just like, well, that was then. Like, now there's an opportunity to go sit at the table and have discussions about what you guys will and will not allow. Like, to me, I'm looking at it in the sense of just like other schools have these same issues. BYU have these same types of rules and regulations. When it comes down to what you believe in, I'm all for that too. Right. I'm not getting to that point of it, but the issue is y'all won't go talk to somebody and you want all the benefits that everybody else gets, but you're getting 5 times the amount of money that nobody else is getting.
Sure.
That's problematic, especially in an NIL era in which you can just say, well, just pay for it because you can.
Right. Interesting. It feels like the process of Notre Dame joining a conference is finally starting. It's the way it feels.
Good on Texas. Who else? USC for pulling out.
USC, that was already kind of in limbo. USC kind of in the same boat. Like, a lot of these big non-conference games, the way that college football is currently constructed, are more detrimental than they are positive. And this is where I go back to making the college football playoff selection process based off of conference alignment. And it's why I think the SEC's model, although at face value that looks bad to a lot of other conferences, take it while you've got the option of 4-4-2-2-1-1 with a couple of at-larges. In the fact that the top 4 SEC teams and top 4 Big Ten teams in the conference standings, if that is what determines playoff status, then absolutely I'm scheduling these teams. Because at that point, it can help me as an at-large at the end of it. It can also help me learn about my team. And sometimes, like Nick Saban said this past week about Ohio State, a lot of times Nick Saban teams won national championships with 1 loss.
Yeah.
Nick Saban said it on McAfee this week. He said, because sometimes we needed to lose. Said, we didn't have a lot of undefeated championship teams. We had teams that needed to lose to get their butts in gear to understand what really goes into winning week in and week out. It's why I actually feel better about Ohio State winning the national championship after their loss to Indiana. Ohio State's my national title pick. I don't know if they would be as confidently if they hadn't lost the Big Ten championship. To me, that's a wake-up call for that team and for that program. Coaches value that.
Yeah, they do.
But not if it keeps you out of the playoff the way Texas's loss at Ohio State did in part. I know, obviously, the Florida loss is what really kept them out, too. But again, if all of a sudden non-conference games don't totally torpedo your playoff chances because conference games are what matter, then, yeah, you're going to see these matchups happen again. All right, let's do Thursday 3. That was a story that I thought was worthy of addressing for a moment. I am 23-22. Ramon and Justin are both 26-19. You've both done very well this year. 7 games over 500. Very strong. I have
I think I'm a bomb this
cut
week.
into the gap a little bit.
Yeah.
All 3 picks in the NFL for me personally as we begin with Thursday Night Football. Tampa Bay hosting Atlanta. Let me pull up DraftKings Sportsbook again, which is who we use for the odds for this. Still 4.5. Fantastic. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an oversimplification of this game and of this matchup, but I do not see a world where Tampa Bay looks the way that it did against the New Orleans Saints and replicates that kind of performance. That's still a good team. I think the Falcons this season, you look at what their defense has done well or poorly, they have struggled to stop mobile quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield is certainly a mobile quarterback. I just don't see a world where they no show against the Saints and then lose to the Falcons. I am going Tampa Bay minus 4.5 over Atlanta tonight.
Getting Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan back definitely helps that. Drake
Certainly.
London also is out for the Falcons.
There you go. Who wants to go next? Dealer's choice. Somebody jump in.
I'll jump in.
Did you jump in before the gate closed?
I did not.
I got to be consistent. If I play this despite going 0-3, then it's not going to be the same. All right, I'm gonna go one college game because it's pretty much the only college game this weekend. It's the big college game. It's Army versus Navy. History would tell you to take the under because since 2013, it's gone under 38 points until last year. Bill Connolly on the S&P Plus model that Will likes
Look
to
at that.
highlight so much. I'm going to use that. He uses
another click.
Yeah, right. So he says 31-25 Navy wins in this. So I'm going to take the over of 38.5 points. I think that's pretty low for a Navy offense that averages about 32 points per game. And Army, they both play good defense. Of course, all they do is run the ball. It's going to be a very run-heavy game. This game is always fun to watch, but I'm going to take the over of 38.5.
All right.
Over 38.5. All right. That works. That certainly goes against conventional wisdom, but I like where your head's at.
Bill Connolly's on fire this year, though.
Yes, he is. M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Do we have a weather report for this game? That's my next follow-up, considering what the total is. Baltimore, Maryland this weekend. It's going to be a cold weekend here.
It's not in Cincinnati?
Nope.
The game?
The Army-Navy game?
Oh, Army-Navy. I got so many things going on right now.
43 degrees and cloudy. All right. That's a balmy Army-Navy game.
Yeah, it is.
Considering some of the atmospheres that they played in.
I want his 3-2 going again this year.
It's a good question.
I had to ask Savage. My first pick, man, I'm actually going to use the team that's hosting that Army-Navy game. Ravens-Bengals, AFC North ball. I have this
something you know pretty well, right?
I do know it pretty well. Joe Burrow can play. Joe Burrow has been somewhat of a kryptonite to what Baltimore is. I'm actually taking -2.5 Cincinnati. It's in Cincy. Joe can play. He went toe-to-toe last week with the Buffalo Bills, and I don't know what Baltimore answers are for the issues that they have here and there, whether it be penalties or referees just can't get the call right. But, yeah, I'm taking that one, -2.5.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
Yep. At home against Baltimore. A little afraid of maybe a bounce back from the Ravens, but again, like, two teams that have been hard to pin down this year.
Are you taking the Bengals?
Yes, I am.
They're +2.5.
Yeah.
+2.5. That's on me.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
Well, I meant I'm taking the Bengals and Joe Burrow, yeah.
Okay. I like the Patriots against the Bills. I think home dog New England makes it 11 straight. I think they sweep Buffalo. Something I thought was interesting from NFL Pro and NFL Plus with Next Gen Stats. Drake May has completed 76% of his passes against split safety looks this season. It's the second highest rate in the NFL. The Bills use split safety looks at the third highest rate in the NFL. So what Drake May does well matches up with what the Buffalo Bills try to do defensively. And as a rule, I like home dogs that are on long winning streaks. So I'm going to take this one. New England is +1.5 at home against the Buffalo Bills in the game of the NFL weekend, and I am taking the 1.5.
All right, for sure. Halt, you up?
Yep. There's a lot of good games in the NFL but it's oddly enough, I didn't have time to readjust my thinking here, so I'm also taking the Bengals +2.5. Joe Burrow can play, like he said, in 2 games since he's played, 33 points per game. He's throwing that crap out of the ball. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. The Ravens, they have no answer on offense right now. Their defense is very vulnerable. Joe Burrow's thrown 6 touchdown passes in those 2 games. I'm taking the Bengals at home.
Okay. Ramon, pick 2?
Pick 2 for me. I'm probably going to bomb out this week. NFL games, I have no real gauge
with
on.
that attitude.
I know, but like they're just so hard because any given week, the team shows up, like
That's why,
legitimately.
Las Vegas has a lot of pretty hotels.
No, straight up. But this Bears-Browns game.
Yep.
I can't see that Browns defense giving it up the way they do. Myles Garrett, he is who he is, okay?
It's a fun matchup against a much improved Bears offensive line.
I think the disrespect that he approached and the media too took towards him getting the 4 sacks played into how he played. He was a dog hunting last week. I don't think that happens this week. Caleb plays into that style of ball. +7.5, a -7.5 is, I ain't gonna say it's a lot because it's Browns, respectfully. But I'm taking the disruptor that they are on the get right. Young quarterback Shedeur Sanders battling with Chicago Bears. Give me plus 7.5 Browns. I never picked the Browns.
I was going to say, it's a cold day down under.
Yeah, it is.
When Ramon Foster is making 2 picks in a row of AFC North teams. Because you picked Cincinnati and Cleveland. I know you're going against Baltimore, one of them, but still. Are you okay?
Baltimore.
So we didn't take your temperature?
I'm a little thrown off this morning. I'm going to be real with you.
All right, I'll go to my third and final pick for the NFL weekend. Again, all NFL. I am not, again, obviously, we give the disclaimer. None of us are wagering things on that. At least Ramon and I aren't. Because of our both jobs. We both, we are both not allowed to do this. So I feel it is ethical to give that disclaimer. Giants minus 2.5 against the Commanders for me. Marcus Mariota expected to be a quarterback for Washington. This is the last passing defense of the NFL, Washington. What a fall they've had from last season being in the NFC Championship game. In terms of yards per attempt allowed, the Commanders rank 32nd in the NFL. I think Jackson Dart has some success against that defense, and I think the New York Football Giants win their way out of the top overall NFL draft pick. So I will take the New York Giants minus 2.5 at home against the Washington Commanders.
It's oddly enough that the Commanders are pretty consistent with Marcus Mariota. Much more than Jaden Daniels. But that's
that defense is consistently bad.
Very true. All right, I'm going to go to Sunday Night Football. I don't like this pick, but I do like this pick. It's the Vikings at the Cowboys, minus 5.5 for the Cowboys. The Cowboys at home are actually a really good team. They put up a lot of points.
True.
They're the Cowboys.
They only want to embarrass Jerry at home.
Yeah, exactly. So they score 33 points at home in Jerry's world. The Vikings are off on the road. They score barely 13 points a game on the road this season. But that also has an outlier with the Seahawks where they scored 0 points. So I'm going to take the Cowboys 5.5 at home. I'm just worried about what CeeDee Lamb is or is not this weekend with a concussion. And then does George Pickens show up? Because, well, let's be honest. He picks plays to play.
Justin, I'm on to you, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Justin loves himself a favorite within a touchdown spread.
Yeah.
You love yourself a 4.5 or 5.5 point
Is that
spread.
what he's doing?
It is smart, though. I'm not knocking it. This is not a criticism. I'm on to your ways. I'm recognizing the first 15 plays that are scripted. And I'm going to go to the sideline and I'm going to make the necessary adjustments. We're going to watch the tablets. We're going to come out for the next drive with adjustments.
Well, I almost picked the Titans plus 12.5 because of how they played, but I decided not to.
12.5.
Ramon, your final pick, please.
Final pick, man. I'm going all in a conference. Well, no, I'm not. The Browns, Bears.
To say you're out of AFC North. Too.
No, I am.
No, you're not. Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Course, that's a little too close. I was going to say, so you're out of AFC North teams.
Chargers, Chiefs. I'm taking the plus 5.5 Chargers on this one.
Okay.
I just don't see the offense I've seen. I've watched that Chargers defense. They get after you. They got front end, the back end.
Future Michigan head coach Jesse Minter?
I think, yeah, seriously. I see the wizardry that Patrick Mahomes is playing with, and I loved it. And now it's time for him to find a new trick. And that Chargers defense gives that to you. They got the young running back also, too. What is his name?
Chargers or Marion Hampton?
Marion Hampton. Yeah. He's back also right now, too. Vidal is there. And what's his name? Justin Herbert's got to correct himself from that post-game interview that he had.
Ooh.
So give me the plus 5.5.
Okay.
Not to say I'm not a believer in the Chiefs, but I ain't liking what I'm seeing.
I thought about this one, but I didn't like it enough because I think the Chiefs defense and George Karlaftis and Chris Jones is going to feast on the Chargers offensive line. Chargers offensive line that allowed a pressure on Justin Herbert like 62% of the time. They still won, but it took them creating a lot of turnovers in plus territory in order to score enough points to beat Philly in primetime this past weekend. And that can certainly happen again. That defense is opportunistic and can create those turnovers a second time. I'm not going to bet on it to happen back-to-back games myself. But I did think about that because my gut says, yes, I agree, plus 5.5 for Chargers. All right, we'll get to John on the phones coming up. Catch up on some calls, some headlines, 615-737-1045 as we wrap up Hour 3 next.
Let's talk about your hair. If you're losing it and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes, man. Guys, it's not magic, though, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated doctors, modern technology, and best of all, you get your very own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it grows for life. So schedule your free consultation now. You can call them at 629-348-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, and they are the team I personally recommend. So don't wait. Check out their befores and afters online for yourself if you don't believe me. But again, call them at 629-348-HAIR or go to advancedhair.com.
Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour number 3. Taylor Zarzer, Titans TZ in studio, coming up in hour 4. 615-737-1045, our number. Let's go to the phones. John in Nashville wants to talk about the Notre Dame discussion this morning. What's up, John?
What up, John?
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
Morning.
Man, I found it funny how Notre Dame was so bent out of shape about the ACC tweeting in support of Miami and everything. It's like your brother and your stepbrother get in a fight, and your stepbrother gets shocked that you take up for your brother. They're making more money if Miami goes than they are if Notre Dame goes, obviously. And I don't know why Notre Dame would get so bent out of shape about that. They want to be independent so bad. I don't get why that would be something that they get so hung up on and so sensitive about. Notre Dame kind of irritates me as it is, so I just found it funny and annoying in a way.
Man, I appreciate that,
John.
That's kind of been the sentiment from everybody else outside of Notre Dame, though, too.
Yeah, they are allowed to act the way that they have for a long time because of what their brand is and the butts they put in seats and the national equity they have, that there are Notre Dame fans all around America. The second it becomes a scheduling disadvantage to them, and when other athletic directors, as Dan Wolken and Ross Dellinger, are starting to circulate at Yahoo, the second other schools start to push back on that and push back on their kind of place in the sport as almost like their own conference, then that independence becomes in jeopardy. And for the first time, Ramon, in the modern era, it feels like Notre Dame's independence is finally in jeopardy.
And here's the thing about it, though, too. Like, sports is all about fairness and the ability to compete and everybody having a shot at the opportunity. And so I don't want to have this conversation about Notre Dame as if, it's a bully topic, because if there's one thing I hate a bully. I hate an unjustified, corny bully. And I don't think this case is that. I just think you look at what Notre Dame has, and the caller we just had brought that up too. Like, if we're talking about dollars and cents in this world of college football that we live in right now, Miami was the right pick. Miami also beat you. So, like, them getting mad about it, BYU can get, like, the most justifiable candidate to be upset, ticked off is right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Clark Lee and the Vanderbilt Commodores. If there's, that they can compete. You know that if anybody went up against them, it's going to be a problem. I don't know, like, the reputation that Notre Dame has had as of late, especially when they ran into teams like Alabama or Georgia, is you're just going to get your face kicked in. So the level of you being upset and your ability to also take your ball, take your own broadcast network, and take all the cash, that at some point these ADs, whether it was, a vote for all of them to decide on Notre Dame, you can't just operate like this. Like, it does come down to, like, bro, we're struggling out here and you eating good.
Notre Dame can learn a lot from the way their former defensive coordinator and Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee has handled a similar situation. Pete Bavacqua and Notre Dame have gone on a tour of pointing fingers. Clark Lee and Vanderbilt not only agreed to play a bowl game because, in Clark Lee's own words, we like playing football around here, but also because he said, we are not victims in this process. We had control over our own resume against Alabama and Texas, and we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. I respect Clark Lee so much just as a human and as a football coach. In a lot of ways, Vanderbilt's team this season represents the good side of NIL and transfer portal and the ability to build a culture and build a brand out of scratch. It really does. And in the context that Clark Lee embraces competition, embraces hard things, even when the luck of the schedule and an SEC schedule that, to their point, they thought that was going to be really hard and wasn't as difficult as it appeared to be on paper in August. The fact that Virginia Tech was a non-conference game scheduled years in advance that they hoped could be a resume-building win. Unfortunately, that team doesn't end up being as good. Like, correct, Clark Lee is not a victim in this process. In my opinion, though, Clark Lee and Vanderbilt had more of just a lack of luck than Notre Dame did, because Notre Dame is in more control of who they schedule. And Notre Dame put on Miami, Texas A&M, USC. Notre Dame didn't build a total cupcake schedule. But if anyone should be complaining about this, it's actually Vanderbilt, to your point, because there was a lot out of Vanderbilt's control that kept them out. And you and I, Ramon, have been consistent on this for weeks, that Vandy just kind of got unlucky.
It did.
That is a playoff caliber team. Yep. If that exact team is plucked from 2025 and placed in 2024, I sound like a broken record the amount of times we've talked about it. 10-2 SEC teams still need help. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Clark Lee and Vandy that the schedule makers and the other teams that were ahead of them did not give them that help, because unfortunately about 14 or 15 teams deserved playoff spots. In 2025, it's probably truer that like 9 or 10 deserve playoff spots in 2024.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the controversy.
It's good theater.
I like the fact that you got to fight to get in like this, though, too. I think that keep the prestige high.
It's reality TV for guys.
It is.
Even though I like reality TV, too, sometimes, within reason. It's okay.
I just want to stop and pause. You gave Vandy flowers.
We've been doing it all season, and we'll continue to cover them just like we cover everyone else. Maybe with the exception of Tennessee, obviously, because of the extra eyeballs on that team and that program in this market. But I appreciate the Vanderbilt fans that have listened to this show this season and have recognized the respect that Vandy earned that we have given. I'm not looking for a pat on the back for it, but I'm just stating the fact that we have been very consistent on that.
The history of your program, you had to earn it. It's the same way people will look at Mississippi State.
The same way
Is it real?
We've talked about the Titans, Ramon, earning respect and earning the benefit of the doubt. Wins
Indiana
and losses.
Had to do it again.
That's 100% right.
Just to that point.
I think the hope for Vandy is, are you a year behind the kind of respect that Indiana is now getting? I'm not saying that Vandy's going to be the 1 seed in the playoff this time next year, but as Stephen Godfrey sat in here and said before Clark Lee got his extension, what part of being Indiana do you not understand? Thankfully for Vanderbilt fans, they understand it. Mm-hmm. And that program is taking the steps to try to emulate a lot of what Indiana has been in their own style and with their own way of operating. And they have earned a ton of respect. That is one of the best stories in college football of the last decade, what Vanderbilt has done. And there is no taking away from the respect that they have earned and the praise that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of Tennessee, what are former players saying about new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, plus the latest on Sharon Moore, Michigan, and who are the top names in line to be the next head coach of the Wolverines as Hour 4 begins next? Hey, it's Will Bowling. Do you have a plumbing issue at home? Whether you got a leaky faucet, clogged drain, water heater that's gone cold, the plumbing professionals at Lee Company have your back. Available 24/7 year-round, Lee Company's licensed technicians can save you time, money, and all the stresses that come with an ill-timed plumbing issue. You just got to contact their award-winning team at leecompany.com. Hey, look, there are a ton of things around the house that I'd rather just have an expert do. Right? I'm the type of person that when I try to fix things myself, I try to get in there, I'm just going to end up making things worse most of the time. Lee Company is always there. HVAC, plumbing, electrical systems, you name it, they do it, and they'll fix it for you. Lee Company is a staple here in Middle Tennessee. You've probably seen their fleet of vehicles driving around. They've got over 1,100 vehicles in their fleet, which means when you contact them online, you're going to get their services quickly and efficiently. Head online to learn more. LeeCompany.com. You can contact their award-winning plumbing team there. Online, LeeCompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need.
9:03, good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Titans took to the practice field yesterday as they begin their preparations for Sunday's tilt against the 49ers. Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons, Tony Pollard, and Chika Okonkwo all had the day off with rest. C.J. Ravenel missed practice with the toe injury, and James Williams Sr. missed with an illness. Jalen Armour-Davis with an Achilles and Lloyd Cushenberry with a foot were both limited yesterday in practice. Dan Moore Jr. with a neck was a full participant. In NFL news, good news for the Buccaneers as wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan have both been activated off of injured reserve. They will both play tonight as they host the Falcons on Thursday Night Football, who will be without wide receiver Drake London. Tonight, kickoff is at 7:15. You can hear the coverage on 104.5 The Zone, courtesy of Westwood One. That all starts at 7 o'clock. The college football coaching carousel took a surprising turn yesterday after Michigan fired head coach Sharon Moore with cause after an investigation revealed that he was having an inappropriate relationship with a Michigan staffer. Moore was also detained by the police last night as they investigate potential charges for assault. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Thursday morning continues in hour number 4 on Ramon and Will. 615-737-1045. 5 more hours of the week as the Titans get ready to head to the West Coast. What's it like having Saturdays back again, Ramon?
I won't lie to you. It's different and fun.
I bet.
I can plan my Saturdays, man, in a way to where I get up and go do honey-do stuff with the wife.
Sure.
Man, we sat around this past. She cooked breakfast for us and stuff, and I was just like, "What?" I laid around. I was like, "I need to be doing something." And she was like, "Well, you don't have a game." I was like, "You are right."
A shark that always keeps swimming.
I'm telling you, but I'm picking up more and more stuff, and we're rolling. So it nothing changes. My boy's about to start up. I'm enjoying it now because RJ's baseball about to start back up at some point soon. Mm-hmm. Miles is doing this. We got a decision to make on him with school and stuff, and it never ends, man. Having kids is a huge thing. I enjoy busy work. I always say if you busy, then it means somebody wants you. You're wanted. So my granddaddy, man, I know we're not going that route, but my granddaddy has embedded in me the art of work and grinding for what you want and stuff like that. My granddad is 87 years old this past November 16th, and he still gets up every day. So for me, I feel like certain people are born with certain stuff. I say this in a nice way, but like curses. Like you're born with certain stuff. I think my blessing / curse is I'm a worker. I like to go get it.
Absolutely.
So it's never really in the downtime, man. Yep. I enjoy that.
Wanted to also just make, to your point, bring it up, grandparents. My grandmother, Chris Thorpe, passed away at 100 years old yesterday. Wow. And what a legacy she left behind, and wanted to just send thoughts to my mom, thoughts to family, and celebrate 100 years of an amazing woman who passed away yesterday. So I'll be out a day next week, and we'll be down there for a funeral in Georgia. But thinking of family right now, and 100 years is pretty spectacular. What a blessing.
It is. Condolences to you and the family.
Grandparents are very, very special.
No
very,
doubt
very
about it. I got to go. And now that's what I can go do is go down to West Tennessee and see my granddad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about it, man. It's a holiday season. Check on your people. I always say that, man. ELE.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. All right, so transitioning back to the football talk. We'll talk some ball with Taylor Zarzer coming up here in about 15 minutes. Austin Price of VolQuest. Great stuff from him, talking with guys who have played for defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, who is expected to be brought to Knoxville as Tennessee's next defensive coordinator. Devin Harper played at Oklahoma State as a Knoxville native, said, out of him, you are going to get a blitzing defense. Going to run zero, run man, come after you, and with him, you are going to get a lot of discipline because that's what he's big on, very big in your role, doing your job and putting pressure on quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks who can't deal with pressure. That's what he does, and you can expect a variety of blitzes from him. Obviously, calls him a mastermind part of a 2021 Oklahoma State defense that led the Big 12 and ranked to the top 5 in the FBS in sacks, second in tackles for loss, second and third down defense, fifth in total defense, and fifth in rushing defense. Goes on to say he's old school in a way, as in like he's going to bleep you. He's going to
curse you out.
Yeah, he's going to cuss you out. That's the way to put it. I don't think we can really say what is written here. Even just the 2-letter abbreviation, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. He said he's going to tell you when you're wrong, but he's also going to love you when you're right. Ramon, how valuable is a disciplinarian, a little bit more rugged, a little bit more old school, defensive-minded coach who's 60 years old, who's kind of been around the block a little bit for Josh Heupel and the staff?
I think he kind of hits. I'm going to hit a little bit of nostalgia for some of the Vols fans here. You speak about those defenses, the Al Wilsons, Ray Knox. You're talking about Big John Henderson, Hainsworth, Eddie Westmoreland. That group of guys that came under Deion Grants, like the names that go through. There was a guy in the figure, man, that played a huge pivotal part in that, and it was John Chavis. When you speak about him, this is what I speak about. This is what I saw from Chief. You know what I'm saying? John Chavis is his name. We called him Chief up in Knoxville. I'm not proclaiming this because I don't want to get on this huge just media spin for Coach Knowles. But what I'm hearing is that somebody that's going to be hard on you. Chief loved his guys. They sold out for him. The defense was disciplined. Think about the group of guys that came through, the Derwin Walkers that you knew of but weren't the superstar types there. Like, it's a hard discipline, prepare you for the NFL style of defense. That's what Chief did. John Chavis with the Vols. It's not a one-to-one comparison, and I'm not saying that those are the days you're going to get. The description of how his former players describe him, the places in which he's gone, and the work that he's put in, the Penn State job was – what was Penn State this year in general as a team? Disappointing? Most definitely.
Certainly.
But here's the other side of that, too. They say it takes more than 1 year to get this defense down. If you're telling me that there's an opportunity for the Volunteers defense to get to a level, I'll just be quite honest with where Georgia's expectation is. That whoever comes in has to have the right amount of discipline, be a football player that loves to hit type of guy. And it sounds like to me that's a Jim Knowles style of offense. That, to me, resonates with a guy that we're very familiar with in Chief. John Chavis. He did the exact same things at LSU. He did the exact same things at A&M. Sometimes these guys' reputation do follow them.
Sure.
And it seems to me Jim Knowles has that type of reputation that, Lord, I'm hoping that the Vols get the discipline side of it for me is paying dividends. Like, I know the Vols and Savage tell stories all the time about those teams. They party. They were animal style up there, okay?
Sure.
I guess the In-N-Out burgers. They were animal style up
opening
there.
what, today or yesterday?
Yesterday. They were animal style, but when it came down to the football, they were straight business. Al Wilson he fits that mold.
Right.
And I'm hoping that type of guy, Jim Knowles, bring that back to the Vols.
I'm curious, Ramon, your thoughts on just how much a defensive coach is heard by the offensive guys. Like, I think that football is such a unique sport in that, especially for younger players, and I think this is one of those things that's true in college football, definitely, and maybe less so in pro football, but to an extent. For younger players, you may have more time with the strength coach than you do the head coach.
Facts.
You're definitely going to have more time with your position coach. Honestly, for some players, you may have a good relationship with a GA, where you've got your one GA, or you've got the one off-field staff member that knew you when you were in middle school, who is on staff, who knows your parents and family, that pours into you day to day. So sometimes we emphasize these coordinator hires. Those are less relational to players and sometimes more big picture scheme, almost kind of the CFO if the head coach is the CEO, right? Mm-hmm. How much of a tone setter can a defensive coordinator be, to the defense? Because we know, obviously, the way Tennessee is set up with Josh Heupel being such an offensive-minded guy, Jim Knowles is kind of like his own head coach of his own side of the ball of defense. How much carryover will his old-school mindset have on the entire team and the offense.
I felt like Chief was a real good defensive coordinator for the Vols, did that for us. He set the tone because if we had a bad day, you know he got you. So it challenged you offensively to want to get better and also made you go to meetings, Will, and ask, what did we do wrong and why did they run down on us like this today? Why did we get beat down so bad today? And it to your point, it changes the conversation. It changes the expectations, too, because if you get beat that bad in practice by your defense, it changes a lot of stuff. I knew all of my opposing side of the ball defensive coordinator. Coach Dick LeBeau, one of those types of guys. Coach Keith Butler, Butts is what we call him with the Steelers also. Like, I knew all of these guys because these guys made you better when it came down to you in a day-to-day setting. So sure. I'm very fascinated, to your point, the representation that Jim Knowles has for the Vols and how he challenges those dudes too, because you can't leave practice and say, well, we didn't get better.
Sure.
No, it challenges you more than you actually think.
Coming up, the voice of the Titans is in the building.
Yay.
Who broadcasts SEC football, who broadcasts like everything in the world. Taylor Zarzer in studio, talking some Titans, maybe some Vols, maybe a little bit about Josh Heupel, Tennessee, a little bit of everything. Who knows what is to come? With a good friend, Titans TZ, Taylor Zarzer joins us next.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting on you. Your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps, maybe they have moved. I'm telling you right now, those moved steps, man, can create a situation around your house where you have somebody elderly tripping and falling, a delivery man. It can cause issues. Well, it's also just a big eyesore. Ramon Foster, and I'm here to tell you, whatever's going on with your concrete, call United Structural Systems. Ask them about the polyurethane foam injections. You've heard about USS for a long time. It is the same company that's provided superior foundation repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, they can also fix your sunken and settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injections to lift and repair your sinking concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can be walked on immediately and driven on after about 30 minutes. So don't go through the long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the company I trust, man. That's United Structural Systems. You go to their website at USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them the old school way at 615-488-7855, United Structural Systems.
Thursday morning continues on Ramon and Will in studio. Ramon Foster with the pink headphones. Justin Hawkins, our producer. Voice of the Titans, Taylor Zarzer in studio. SEC Network, ESPN, and of course, friend of the program. Good morning. Welcome. How are you?
It's good to see Justin today because I frantically send Justin an email every Sunday as quickly as I possibly can.
I know that goes.
And Justin has realized like how obsessive compulsive I can be because Justin at the beginning of the season would not respond when I would send the emails to him with the post-game interview with Mike McCoy or Brian Callahan before him. And finally, I was like, Justin, I need to know that you have received this. And he now, every single week,
a thumbs up.
he gives me a thumbs up every single week. But I want to make sure, it gets there. Sure. It gets to the place it needs to be.
He sounds like he texts like my wife does. I'll send her something, and she doesn't reply back. I was like, did you see my text? Like,
Please confirm upon receipt.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I don't have a red note on my texts, but I want you to have a red note on your texts.
It's because I immediately get it in, edit it, and we play it the very next segment. So I typically
He's doing the work, is what he's telling me.
You're crushing it, by the way.
Just like Eric Church, I work.
That's right. Yeah. That's a fun type of work that Chief has, by the way.
I love you too.
And Bab's headphones do look good on Ramon.
They look good.
Thank you.
Well.
Yes.
Takes a real man to wear pink headphones.
Ramon let me borrow his headphones, which are very nice.
Well, listen, we got to be awesome to our guests whenever they come in. It's not, I don't want to give you these, okay? I want to be able to say, Babs, you have a Vol using yours. Okay?
There you go.
That's the other part of it,
She won't like that.
No, she won't like that.
No.
But she doesn't really have much of a say-so right now in her house because her program is down. Her husband's Indiana program
That's
is
right.
up, all right? So as long as Travis got my back, we're good.
How about that,
Travis
man?
should have my
Travis
back.
Harder, our very favorite Indiana fan.
The only undefeated team in all of college football that finishes the regular season number one in the country. That is wild.
It's incredible. And just the amount of things that had to happen in that game on defense, the pressure that they were able to get on Julian Sand, the job of Fernando Mendoza making the vote for the Heisman Trophy very challenging.
Yeah. And
Do you have one?
Well, yes, I do. Okay. And as Mr. Bowling can tell you, I was commenting a lot about what I was going to do with my Heisman Trophy ballot on Saturday night because I don't think that this was a clear-cut, man, this guy fill in the blank unequivocally should be the Heisman winner. So I did use all of what happened on Saturday and let that form my decision. I think Mendoza is a fabulous player. I think he's had a terrific season. I'm not saying that I didn't vote for him or I did vote for him. I will tell you this. To suggest that Indiana is only Fernando Mendoza, it wouldn't be fair. Indiana, to your point, at the line of scrimmage, like that's the thing that's most shocking to me is, the bottom feeders in college football for years, which Indiana was for the longest time, they can have a skill guy or two that emerges at programs like that. And Indiana had a couple of those guys that emerged that were skill guys. What programs like Indiana don't have are Ramon Fosters. Seriously. Yeah. Like if you're one of the best offensive linemen in college football, which is what you were, by the way, you would not have gone to Indiana. Like you just wouldn't have.
That's very true, too.
You know what I mean? Like the best offensive lineman.
They built that up.
And now, Ramon, they are pushing people around. They do have Ramon Fosters on their team.
They do.
Like that's the thing that's most surprising to me
for sure
about these last couple of years in college football. The team down the street, who I called 2 of their games this year, really good at the line of scrimmage. Yes, now, most of them are as old as Ramon Foster.
They got kids. No, I'm joking.
It's kind of like what John Calipari said. Vanderbilt's offensive linemen are 25 years old, and they have to pay support checks for their families. But
it's a crazy comment by John Calipari.
It's not.
Oh, did you not see that?
It's not true. By the way, he exaggerated. And by the way, I totally support Clark Lee within the rules.
100%.
Hey, I'm going to go get the best. I'm going to go get the all-MAC offensive linemen and defensive linemen who have a year left and going to put them on my team. It makes a lot of sense.
That's petty.
But it is surprising that this is where we are now in college football. But I think it's great. Indiana 13-0, Vanderbilt's 10-2. It's kind of cool to see these new programs emerge.
And I think, too, we talked about it earlier in the show, Taylor, that I think there is an idea Nick Saban said on, I think it was on McAfee on maybe Monday. He didn't have a lot of undefeated national championship teams. And losing on the way to the pinnacle was a critical step in the process of getting to the pinnacle. And I almost feel more confident in Ohio State now that they have gone through this and that Ryan Day has a different kind of mood and vibe in the meeting rooms to hammer home some lessons maybe a little bit more harshly in the same way he did last year when he also had a team that lost its last game before the college football playoff in losing to Michigan.
Well, I did at least an Alabama game almost every year that Nick Saban is talking about. And every time we went into a Friday coaches meeting with him, he would spend 15 plus minutes talking to Matt Stinchcomb and me about how hard it was to re-motivate his players. His players, we would eat barbecue. By the way, the Alabama lunch on Fridays, legendary.
Nice.
Jim and Nick's barbecue, Dreamland. No, they would pick a different barbecue place every Friday.
Oh, wow.
And we would sit in there with guys like Reuben Foster, and they would say, seriously, Tuesday practice is what we really live for because it's the most competitive game.
Harder than the game.
It's going to be the most competitive thing we face all year.
Right.
And that's what they really lived for. And Saturday was like, we got Saturday.
And when you're getting paid, it's harder to manufacture that.
So Nick Saban would talk about that with us on Fridays. Like, I'm finding new ways to try to motivate our team to play because they've already accomplished so much and we're trying to reset at zero. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that Ryan Day has the full attention of his team right now. And for UT fans, they remember last year when Ryan Day had the full attention of his team after they were embarrassed by a inferior Michigan team who no longer has that head coach, by the way. We'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he had their full attention, and Ohio State absolutely was the best team in college football, and they proved it in the playoffs last year. And I think he'll have their full attention in the playoffs here when they play either Texas A&M or Miami in the Cotton Bowl coming up in a couple of weeks.
I want to talk Titans, of course, and talk about the 49ers matchup, but I wanted one more college football question kind of on that front, because you mentioned the Ohio State National Championship team, and reports are that Tennessee is going to bring in that defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. What is the value of a different kind of voice in the meeting room for Josh Heupel? And if Josh Heupel is fired, Jim Knowles is ice. In a lot of ways, Ramon compared it to Nick Saban hiring Lane Kiffin in some ways. Like, head coaches have to be adaptable and have to admit, the way Clark Lee did when he brought in Tim Beck and Jerry Kill, how do I find the opposite of me? How do I contrast my voice with a different background? It doesn't always work. It's not tried and true, but Josh Heupel is taking a risk, yet albeit I think the right one, in finding someone who is a lot different from him.
So I'm not going to yield the floor necessarily, but I do want to include Ramon in what I'm about to say. This is the way that I perceive it from afar, and I wonder as a player, a former UT player, if Ramon would take it this way too. If I'm a defensive player for the University of Tennessee and I'm coming back to play for the Vols next year and I just played on this team, I'm like, wow, we just fired our guy. I mean, Tim Banks is one of the more likable people you will ever meet. And I realized statistically and really optically towards the end of the season, Tennessee was not playing at a level they should play on defense. But if you just fired your defensive coordinator and you went and got a guy that won a national championship as a defensive coordinator last year, I take that to mean, man, things are serious around here. We have a standard that everyone expects, and that standard is competing for national championships. We went to the playoffs last year. We didn't do that this year. We went 8-4. Yeah, we should have beaten Georgia. And by the way, they should have beaten Georgia, okay? But they didn't have a signature win this year. The season it was a bit disappointing compared to the standard that Josh Heupel and the University of Tennessee's football program expects. And if you fire your defensive coordinator, to me, if I am a player on that team, and you hire the guy that just won a national championship, to me, that means, man, we are serious around here. We're not accepting anything less than going to the college football playoffs. How would you take it if you were in the locker room?
We had that situation when Coach Foreman brought in David Cutcliffe Oh, it was immediate attention. Like attention. Like we were at attention about all the things that he was bringing with him. You knew he had, facilitated the national championship before he left. He comes back in a position where the respect is there, the name is there, the notoriety. Like I've lived that life in the college world. The offseason is totally different. The detail is totally different. And the expectation that you speak of about being more serious, some of the best years that I had at Tennessee was David Cutcliffe, who's also, he had Jim Knowles on his staff when he came back to Knoxville. That's what you're looking for. Guys ate off of that. All-Americans was had behind that. First-round draft picks were behind that one also. That's providing that hope for you. So, yeah, we talked about it earlier, linebacker Arian Carter. For a guy like him that had a good year, 3rd, 4th round, maybe. He comes back and excel in this defense. We're talking about 1st, 2nd round type of guy.
Because he's got the speed and the intangibles to do that.
And you don't want to go to the next level lacking, right? And that's one thing I've heard about Jim Knowles is his detail to prepare you for the next level will take you there. So, yeah, decisions will be made about also the other side of that, too. Can players handle him, the detail? You can't just free range, roam freely in his defense. It will be detailed. It would be strenuous and complicated. So, yeah, I'm with you. I've dealt with that. When Cutcliffe walked back into that meeting room, we're not playing around anymore.
I love me some Coach Cut, by the way. One of the best people in the world.
Best.
I love Cut.
The Titans won a football game on Sunday in Cleveland, and they did so, Taylor, doing something that we have been wanting more of. They ran the football. They embraced cold weather. They embraced AFC Central football against their former AFC Central opponent in the Cleveland Browns. We've had a lot of conversations on Titans Radio pregame and in my pregame visit every week with Mike Borgonzi about how getting the run game to click requires a mindset, requires taking pride in run blocking, something that we've had the 11-year NFL veteran in the room also break down for us as well. How pleased were you to see that mindset and that play out on the football field on Sunday in Cleveland?
Yeah, that was the most fulfilling part of it because the defense consistently, by and large, has played around the level we saw on Sunday. Special teams all season
100%.
has played around the level that we saw on Sunday. The one thing that we have not seen is consistent performance, as you said, to run the football and to protect Cam Ward. And the offensive line did that on Sunday. That was by far the most pleasing part. The fact that Myles Garrett, according to Pro Football Focus and according to my eyes in the booth and your eyes on the sideline and everyone else that consumed that game, Myles Garrett was ineffective. Yeah, he had a late second quarter sack. Otherwise, he was ineffective. I think he's the best player in the NFL in 2025.
I agree.
And he was ineffective. That was his worst game in terms of affecting the quarterback. And that goes directly to J.C. Latham, Kevin Zeitler, Corey Levin. There were a lot of times where he was being triple teamed in the game. And when he moved around, said, okay, well, I'm not making much of a move over here. I'm going to go in over. I'm going to try Dan Moore and Oli Udoh and Pete Skoronski. He didn't have any more success over there either. So I give credit to all of those guys. Udoh especially, who came into the game as Moore missed a valuable amount of time, as you reported on the sidelines in the last game. So, yeah, I think that was a really good thing to see. And I will beat my fist down on the table continuing to say this. It is really important for these young players to win. I want everyone listening that loves the Tennessee Titans to hear this. It is really important that these rookies win football games. That will help you be a better team in 2026 more than losing as many games as you can and hoping to get the first, second, or third pick. You go back and do the research. Anytime a team has not won at the end of the season and it looks kind of obvious that they're okay with not winning, it doesn't help you the next year.
Right.
The Houston Texans, to me, are the best recent example of this. They won a meaningless game at the end of the 2022 season, and Lovie Smith said, goodbye, everybody. You're not having the first pick anymore. We just won the game. Did that hurt them? No. They won the division the last 2 years, and they're right there in it at 8-5 this year. I will argue that win at the end of that year helped them in the next year, and I do. I think Cam Ward winning, getting used to winning, I think that all the other rookies getting used to winning is the most valuable thing the Titans can do right now.
And there's a lot of comparisons between Cam Ward and Drake May. Joe Milton won the New England Patriots a game at the end of last year to earn the Titans the number 1 overall pick. And the first place New England Patriots are
there you go.
Are hosting the Buffalo Bills this weekend
Great
as
example.
the favorites of the AFC East.
Yeah.
Just have to pick good. That's what it boils down
That's
to.
it. And Mike Borgonzi and his staff did an excellent job of that in 2025. I think that has everything to do with you and me, Ramon, being part of the Titans draft coverage, and that's why it ended up the way it did. And I'm very much looking forward to that again in 2026 with all three of us doing that. But
CZ 2025.
But yeah, I have all the confidence in the world that Reg McKenzie, Dave Ziegler, Mike Borgonzi, and the rest of that personnel department are going to crush it again. That is something the Titans fans should be really excited about. You look back at these guys and where they've been and how they've drafted, whether they've been together or separate, they've crushed it throughout their career. And that's the most exciting thing for Titans fans is the idea that they are going to have another draft class that's somewhere close to the one they just had with 9 total picks that they have in the draft. Man, that's exciting.
It is exciting.
What is exciting, too, is every time there's a punt or kickoff, watching Chimere Dike. Do you brace on every call for him? Because as somebody's game plan against guys like him, you got to sit back. I've sat in those special teams meeting where Danny Smith, our special teams coach, is going off using words we can't use on this radio station to stop a guy like him. It's either something exciting or it's a dud because they don't kick to him.
Will, I've been talking to him a lot about this in the booth before home games, is the transition between Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Ramon, is, I'm calling a game on TV on Saturday, and then I'm calling it. And sometimes I'm thinking that certain people I work with on Saturday are there on Sunday or vice versa. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And I'm answering your question by saying this. My man, Matt Stinchcomb, who I love, best friend in the world, who already has tried to call me during this interview. Stinch, during an SEC football game on Saturday, if somebody is a great special teamer, I'll be like, stop talking, stop. We've got to get to setting up what's about to happen on the field. And during Sunday games, I have found myself going, stop. Oh, wait a minute. Stench isn't here. Never mind. Okay,
you're bracing yourself.
Yeah. No, I very much want to set up those moments because you're right. We've had so many of them. I mean, the guy has this huge lead in all-purpose yards this year in the National Football League because of what he's done on kick returns and punt returns primarily, and he's now making a difference on offense and had a touchdown in this last game. But, yeah, the 40-plus yard return to start the game. I mean, you think of the 2 touchdowns he has. You think that he, in my opinion, should have another touchdown on a play that was not officiated properly, in my opinion. Send all your complaints to me. But it's crazy. I mean, almost every time he touches the ball, he can do something. He got tripped by the punter 2 weeks ago. Otherwise, he would have had another one.
100%.
On the ground.
100%. Let's talk about Titans and 49ers with Titans TZ. Taylor Zarzer in studio with us, previewing the upcoming matchup for the Titans as we get out of here coming up next.
It's Ramon and Will here for Volunteer Traditions, man. When it comes to Vol Apparel, Will and I both have been telling you, nobody does it better than Volunteer Traditions, man. It started back on campus in 2006. Some of my former teammates Will knew, of course, Mason when he was doing this at the University of Tennessee, and it spread so much further across the state, across the whole Southeast, man. If you want Vol Traditions or volunteer clothing, and you don't have to just get orange. There's different colorways for you. They got different items from your head to your toe, Will. They got you covered.
Ramon, when I am looking for apparel on game days around the house, I want something that's got the cool logos that I like. Check. I want something that's comfortable. The new fleece outerwear is soft. It's comfortable. It's like wearing pajamas. I want a good look. Very good look. It's soft like clothes you'd wear around the house, but you can wear it out. Started back on campus at 06. Volunteer Traditions makes gear for Vols fans, by Vols fans. Now they got their biggest sale yet. Up to 40% off. If you go to volunteertraditions.com. Good stocking stuffers as well during the holiday season. Head online, volunteertraditions.com. Get up to 40% off on premium apparel from Volunteer Traditions. Ramona will wrap it up the show on 104.5 The Zone. Taylor Zarzer in studio with myself, Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, Justin Hawkins, our producer. Titans and Niners this Sunday. It's kind of like we joked on Monday Night Titans this week, Taylor. It's like the how the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, it's the San Francisco 49ers of Santa Clara, of San Jose, of all of these things. So a little different.
It is a little different, yes. I don't know why it's such a pet peeve of mine, but I do want to refer to them as the Santa Clara 49ers because listen, I know it's not that big of a deal, but anyone that's ever landed in San Francisco, California and gone down to, say, Fisherman's Wharf or gone and eaten all that incredible bread right near where you can see Alcatraz out in the bay, if you get back into a car from that point and go to where the 49ers play, it will take you over an hour to get there. It is kind of like, it's kind of like driving from here to Alabama, honestly. It's like driving from here to Huntsville almost. Right. And you're like, we're not in San Francisco. Like, we just took a trip in order to get here. So it is a little bizarre to me that they're still the San Francisco 49ers when they're nowhere near San Francisco. But regardless of where the game is going to be, Will, it'll be a tough assignment. One of the toughest of the year. I think if we look back right now, we would say the toughest game on paper, given who it was and where it was the first game of the season at the Denver Broncos. Yeah, and the Titans were in that game throughout the entirety of it. So the Titans have proven, even in a hard reset, that they can line up with people and compete. They've done that with a number of playoff-level teams in one-score games, and I have every expectation, especially given the performance they had against Cleveland, that they will do that this Sunday.
What is the matchup in this game, Taylor, where you feel like this one is defined, won or lost on Sunday?
Christian McCaffrey and being able to get that man on the ground, because he comes at you in so many different ways, and he catches all these passes out of the backfield, and he breaks all of these tackles. He's so shifty. Running the football is always an issue, trying to get him on the ground. But where I really get concerned about McCaffrey is him as a pass catcher. He's the best. I really mean this, and I mean all respect to Marshall Faulk. And I know people are going to say, you're being a prisoner of the moment, Taylor. No, I really mean this. I think he's the greatest pass-catching running back in the history of the NFL. Yes, I spent some time in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes, I really got to know him, and he's an unbelievable human being with great work ethic. But I think that is the biggest critical key. Now, going with that, you have to run the ball effectively, Will, like you did against Cleveland. Right. But I think getting McCaffrey on the ground is going to be critical, because when it's 3rd and 6, there is a man that has more information in his head than anybody I've ever met about the NFL. He sits to my right. He has gray hair, and he wears black all day. His name is Dave McGinnis, a.k.a. Coach Mack. And when we get to 3rd and 5 or 6, he's going to say, watch McCaffrey, watch McCaffrey, watch the pass out of the backfield. Like, he's going to be saying that like crazy on Sunday.
It's true. No, but that's him, though. He's got health this year. Knock on wood for him. Probably not good for the Titans, but like watching Christian McCaffrey is fun. It is. The other component is the misdirection, and also Brock Purdy's ability to be perfect for that system. He throws a good ball. He's not the best athlete, but he's perfect, Taylor, for what the San Francisco 49ers are doing. He got enough mobility to where he also confuses you and throws the football well on the run.
Yeah, he typically makes smart decisions with the ball. He typically doesn't throw a lot of turnovers. I keep using that word because he did throw a bunch of interceptions against the Panthers on Monday night a couple of weeks ago, which was surprising to see. But yeah, you're right. He is very good with possession balls to George Kittle. He's very good at underneath throws to McCaffrey, and then every once in a while, Jawan Jennings downfield, well, VFL, if you will, will get you a big explosive play down the field. And they do. They set up the dinking and dunking, and then they get a lot of explosive plays.
What's interesting, I'm fascinated to watch this game, this matchup, because I said to Coach Mack earlier, they're cute with their offense, but they're physical. The Titans' defense is physical. I want to see how Jeff's going to react, because Jeff's always the guy in the middle of the ring, okay? But that offense will punch you in the mouth that the 49ers have, and that's going to be a great call, Taylor, for you to just give the back and forth on what's going on either side of the ball.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Or what's perceived as a cute offense.
Right. I think what has been really refreshing to watch is the last couple of games seeing Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons line up next to each other, because we didn't get it really almost at all for the first couple of months of the year. But the last few weeks we have. And as you guys know, nose guards don't get any stats. They don't get a lot of attention either. But my goodness, when you have a good one, it makes a world of difference for the people around them that do get the stats. And I think Sweat has played at an elite level. What we saw last year that everybody was so fired up about when he was having such a solid rookie season, I think we've really started to see that in the back half of the year. And it's given opportunities to Jeff Simmons. It's given up opportunities to some of your pass rushers, whether it was Draymond Jones for a while. It's been Arden Key recently. Cedric Gray has been a tackling machine, and he's been a tackle for loss guy. Kevin Winston has been that too. That all has happened because of the space that T. Sweat is taking up in the middle. And I'll be interested to see if he's able to get that, if he's able to have that kind of success on Sunday.
Well, and then I saw it on field level this past weekend, and the play that he had as he was the one flushing Shedeur Sanders out of the pocket. It is different at field level watching that many pounds move that quickly. It has been said about him many times. God did not make a lot of humans that size that can move like that. And I mean that as the utmost compliment. That I think the way that this defense, Taylor, started to play as we get out of here is a sign of something trending upward to hang your hat on.
Absolutely.
And to our point earlier, we talk about Dan Campbell and the Lions and how they had to withstand a 3-13 season for him as they started to build up what Detroit is now known as. And one of those seasons was 2 out of 3 at the very end. And how do you get the arrow pointing up in December and January? Building on that, we hope on Sunday in San Francisco is a way that the arrow can start pointing up for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, and to your point, defensive line, I think, is the strength of the team. If you have big-time pass rushers, at least one, whether you get it in the draft and free agency, same thing with a cornerback, either in the draft or free agency, to complement Kevin Winston in the back end of that defense.
Right.
Man, that's something to really get excited about in 2026. Now, offensively, you've got to go get a guy that can stretch the field. The thing that you thought Calvin Ridley would do if he played 17 games this year.
For sure.
You obviously have to have that as well. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, there are signs of this defense that can play with anybody.
Taylor Zarzer, voice of the Titans, on the call with Titans Radio, the whole crew in Santa Clara this weekend. Looking forward to it. Thank you, sir.
Great to be with you, my friends.
Yes.
Appreciate you both.
Appreciate you coming in today, man.
We are back at it tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. to kick off your Friday.
But remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always high.